Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Director Watch, an AwardsWatch podcast that attempts to get inside the mind of cinema's greatest auteurs, explore what drives them, and maybe we go on a few unrelated tangents along the way. I'm Ryan McQuade, executive editor here at AwardsWatch, and joining me, as always, is the best in-law in town, my co-host, Jay Ledbetter.
Oh boy, I'm ready to get way too personal in this episode, Ryan. There's going to be some stuff that comes out of my soul talking about this movie. We're talking Tokyo Story, number 4 on the Sight and Sound list. The certainly the highest rated site on the Sight and Sound list that we've talked about in the history of this show.
Mm-hmm.
Will we ever top it? I don't know. Who knows?
Who knows?
Got to keep listening to find out.
I'm not going to give away anything.
But today we're talking about number 4. Very high. Last week we talked about number 21, and now we're talking about number 4.
No, a couple weeks ago we talked about number 21. What are you talking about last
yes,
week?
True. A couple weeks ago.
You're just forgetting about other
Which
episodes.
was previously, I believe, the highest one that we've ever talked about, and now we're topping it in the two weeks later.
This is the big one of the series.
It is. I mean, there's a lot of big ones in the series, but this is the biggest one in the series.
Yeah,
yes.
This is like, I think, the film that, if you talk about him, and you're talking
this
about
is his most canonical film.
You're talking about Tokyo Story.
And for what reason? Is it any good? We'll talk about it.
Is it any good? You're already just starting off with your contrarian negative shit?
Yeah, well, we'll talk about it.
You doing all right?
No.
Because we have to talk about this?
Yeah, it's going to be a disaster.
All right. Well, I think we did okay the last two.
Because it's so bad.
No, we've done good the last 2 weeks.
No, I know, but yeah, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. But we're not alone. Can't be alone for a movie like this.
No.
And so we're bringing back our old friend.
Although you could be alone. It's about the dissolution of family.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to don't go into it just yet. We're talking about Tokyo Story with our friend, Mr. Kevin Lee. Kevin, welcome back to the show.
He's going to leave 2/3 of the way.
Hey, guys.
He's going to do the podcast. Yeah.
I can't wait to hear what stories Jay has for this.
So what you're saying is
it's
like
it's going to be bad.
He's like visiting our podcast, and then he's going to decease halfway through or 3/4.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, we were so excited to have him, and now that he's here, he's like, I'm too busy for you, actually.
Yeah, and then leave.
Yeah,
I got a baseball game to go back to. Maybe one of the most devastating things I've ever heard in a movie in recent memory is like in this movie where it's like, hey, something just happened. Maybe put off the sports, for a while.
No, I mean, it's like either that or I got hair to cut, It's...
My God.
Oh my God. Well, I feel you, Jay, though. I think we are gonna get maybe too personal here today.
No, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
the stuff that this brought out of me is troubling.
Kevin, thank you so much for coming back here and doing this show. We haven't talked to you since we stopped a train the size of the Chrysler Building from wrecking into a town.
A very similar film.
Very similar film.
A very similar.
This is sort of the Japanese Unstoppable.
Who would Chris Pine play in this movie?
Oh, a great question, Ryan.
Yeah, I know. I always ask the great questions on this show. Do you think he would be like the what's her name? Noriko? The daughter-in-law that does
definitely who he would be. He would be
the one.
Well, that's the best way to, because I would assume Denzel would play the father. So like it did. So it would make sense because then he and Denzel would have the screen time, much like in Unstoppable.
You know what's ludicrous?
Quantum physics.
Do you know how old Shishu Ryu was as the lead, the grandfather in this film?
I want to say he was 45 years old.
He was 49.
Damn, I'm on fire today.
That was very good, and he was not. If you watch
no
the
makeup
film and you think he's on the verge of death, like you're like this was the straight story. That's like what this was. He was dying in it. No, he was 49. He lived to be almost 90. He was just a regular guy in this movie, and I think his performance in this film is all time. Oh, that's going to be a lot of this review for me. Is just me going like, yeah.
Well, while you're collecting yourself over there, Kevin.
Yes.
talking about Ozu. I'm curious before we get into Tokyo Story, your relationship with Ozu as a director and his filmography and the sort of themes and things that you pick out of it that you love so much from a guy like this.
So I have a confession to make. I'm
It's just
extremely new to Ozu's
that's okay because so are
filmography.
we.
Okay.
Totally.
I'm very, very new.
You're in
Pretty
good
much
company.
like, you know, so Tokyo Story is the only Ozu film that I've
Okay,
seen,
well then there we go.
you know.
Much, you know what,
Yeah.
Kevin's secret here? This is the third Ozu movie we've ever seen because it's the third
Okay.
one we've
We've
ever
never
talked
seen
about.
one. Yeah.
Okay.
This is
So
the
there you
purpose
go.
of doing this podcast.
This is a huge discovery for us.
Yeah, so my
It just
relationship
sucks
for
that it's
Ozu
bad.
Oh my God. So yeah, it's new, very, very new. But
Yeah.
based on like my experience in seeing Tokyo Story and also seeing like images, certain shots and frames from his other movies, I'm noticing like his sensibilities as a director, and I love his sense of place in his stories. They feel so lived in and ordinary. And I just really appreciate that there's a filmmaker out there who just really specializes in like small domestic life and a film that just takes its time. We spend time with these family members, and the longer we are with them, the more we start to understand these really profound things about ourselves and how time passes. And as how a certain character in this movie says, how life can be really disappointing sometimes.
Yeah, I think that per watching these early films, I think like the guy just has like he's making these very personal films, these very lived in films, like you're saying, Kevin, and then as you slowly are and much like what we're going to talk about with this movie, as you start slowly watching them and you get comfortable, like you're saying, they then start mirroring the viewer's life, perspective, history, and then you start reflecting on things that you didn't expect you were going to be doing in watching a film like this.
Yeah.
And so that's where I think we could start with this movie. And Kevin, then I'll throw it back to you since this is your only Ozu you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Maybe like debunk Jay. Do you think it's a good movie?
Oh.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it'll be nice to have a contrarian on this
Yeah, I mean
episode.
that's what you've been already so far today.
No, that's
Jay.
what Kevin is, because you and I, neither of us like this film.
You're lumping me in? Do you even know?
You told me before this episode that you think it's like pretty trash.
I'm gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie to you. You put a lot of fucking words in my mouth over the years. But how dare you, sir, of even saying that I would say something like that about
All
this
right,
movie?
we'll see. We'll see what you and I.
We had
think
literally,
about
by
this.
the way, before Kevin gets into this stuff, we literally had a full conversation about putting words.
You
each
put
other's-
words in my mouth.
No, you
earlier
put
today.
words in my mouth, to which then I put words in your mouth.
No.
We had a whole argument.
We're
today.
not litigating this today, but I won that.
You
that
kind of
dilemma.
won. You didn't really win.
Oh, I won.
I didn't have
I
enough
won more
time
than
to
I
research.
lost.
Listen, I don't have enough time to research backlogs of episodes.
We're
of
not
things.
doing hypothetical, undescribed debates.
Jay
on this
for many
podcast,
years
but
thought that Dune Part One
no,
was
not
not
for
going
many
to.
years. It was for about 30 minutes.
It was about for about a year and a half because of the streaming model at
Ryan,
Warner
we
Brothers.
did this
Hang on.
earlier today.
I know, but we're going to do it on the podcast because then people need to know.
For about 10 minutes.
People need to know.
I posited that maybe because of the model, Dune 2 might not get made. And then about an hour later, I said, actually, I'm very confident that Dune 2 will get made. And then lo and behold, it got made.
Well, to be fair,
Like, that's the beginning and end of the story.
no, the original origins of this was the year leading up to it when we did the Lynch series at the old place. And on that Lynch episode, you gaslighted me into saying that the first Dune wasn't going to make any money. And then over the course of a year, you said, it's not going to make any money. It doesn't matter. I really want to see it, but it's not going to make any
But
money.
then when it came out,
And then it came out, then you flipped. So to be fair,
I
on your
flipped
point,
completely because I was like, that movie is totally okay.
Yeah.
It will get a sequel.
I mean, to be
yeah. So
to be fair, I was one of those people as well, where before the movie came out, I also felt like this movie's not making money.
yeah.
And then I saw it and was like, never mind.
But Jay, that's what I was referring to in the original conversation,
Okay,
not
that's
after
fine.
the facts, before
No,
we
no,
saw
no,
that
no,
film.
no, no, no.
I wasn't like after you saw Dune 1, you were like, that movie's never going to get the sequel. I was like, no, it's going to get the sequel. You even said it. And I knew that. I was talking about beforehand.
You're gaslighting me now. This is unbelievable. Anyway, let's talk about Tokyo Story.
Anyway, Ozu.
Ozu. Some would say this is his Dune Part 1.
I think Ozu is a better director than Denis Villeneuve.
You think so?
Yeah.
We're only 3 films in. We've done a whole series on Villeneuve.
We are only 3 films in, and I
You
think
can definitely
maybe
say
every one of his films is better than each of those 3 films is better than anything Denis Villeneuve's ever made. And I like Denis Villeneuve.
That's correct.
I certainly like the best of Denis Villeneuve, but
Yeah.
these are something else.
Or as we called him on that show, Denny V as well.
Denny V, we love him.
Wait, out of curiosity, Jay, what's your favorite Denis Villeneuve?
Arrival.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I think is a phenomenal film.
Yeah.
Makes me
What did
cry.
I say? What did I
hard.
say? Did I say Blade Runner at the time, or did I say Arrival? I can't remember.
I think it was Arrival.
I think I said Arrival. I think that's probably the correct
Arrival's
answer.
a freaking knockout.
That movie rules.
And I think it's better now than when it came back, when it came out then. I think it's better now.
It's a good movie.
Aged beautifully.
That is his masterpiece.
Yeah. Not a great episode we did, but it's still a good movie nonetheless. Anyway, Kevin,
did we ever do a good episode?
Have we ever done a good episode?
That's a good question.
Okay. Kevin, Tokyo Story. Your thoughts on the film?
Oh,
You forgot about how chaotic and dumb the show is, didn't you?
I think our Lord of the Rings episodes were good.
Oh,
you think so?
Any others I can't speak to, but those were good.
Put
the
me on
Maliks?
Runaway Train now.
Actually, the Maliks were good.
The Maliks.
Oh,
PT
man.
episodes were good too.
Anyway, I put so much work into those freaking Malik episodes.
You know what, Jay? You did a good job here.
Thanks,
man.
man.
Put that out there. You gonna say anything nice back over here?
Ryan, you're doing just fine, dude.
Okay, well, just fine to really good. Wow, the relationship we have. Anyway, Kevin,
Yes.
Tokyo Story. Thoughts on the film?
I think Tokyo Story is a masterpiece. It is kind of it's funny because again, I'm speaking this just from the fact that it is the only Ozu film I've seen. Okay. When I first saw Tokyo Story and came out of it, like there was a experience where I felt like, wow, I feel like I've never seen any other film like this. That feels so authentic and real and in the moment. And there were techniques and creative choices in the film that even caught me off guard when I first saw it. The main one for me is how Ozu films dialogue and conversation between characters. He does this thing where he essentially is having the actors look right into the camera. It's like we're having a conversation with this character. And
he does the demi close up a few times in this movie.
And what's really interesting
Mhm.
is once you kind of get on that wavelength, it becomes a really interesting observation to see when does Ozu have us look at each other through these characters, and when does Ozu back up again and give us like this medium wide shot of the two of them in the room, and now we're not in the conversation anymore. We're now back to being more like an observer, being like a fellow family member watching this unfold. And like it's interesting because I think from a directing standpoint, there's nothing fancy about it in the in like filmmaking terms. It's so matter of factly. It's about being present with people. And I think that is like the best choice to tell a story like this, which is so subtle and quiet. And like the painful moments is not shown through, typical like performance-y moments, right? It's not shown through things like that's that actor's Oscar clip, for example, right? I think it's one of those just heartache devastating films where by the time it's over, it's like, oh, oh my God. Like, man, especially like the last few final images of this film. It's like
Forget about it, man.
the way the film leaves you by the end of it, it's like, yep, that's perfect. I wouldn't change a thing. No, no notes.
J Dog, first time watch. You've come out. I know that you like to be a little contrarian here, but I know you love
Yeah.
this movie, buddy. There's no way. As I was watching this movie, I'm like, oh God, he's gonna be a mess tonight. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna kind of just leave you to cook, as the kids say, and tell me your thoughts on Tokyo Story.
Yeah, for some people this will be like our best episode ever, and for some they'll be like, "Hey, get him under control. Like what is going on?" Um, this this film going into it, there is a little part of me going into a movie like this where I'm like, okay, fourth greatest movie of all time, sure, okay. Let me put this on. I'm sure it's going to be my fourth favorite movie of all time. And there's sort of a resentment that I have going into it, just a smidge, just that contrarian in me is like,
Well,
okay, here we
you have
go.
this with anything that's usually universally praised. I think you go with a bit of a
To this
skepticism in there.
level, a
Yeah,
little bit, a
Yeah,
yeah,
but
little
was this
bit.
your first time seeing it?
First
yeah,
watch,
yeah.
first watch. Yeah.
Okay.
First time watch.
Criterion Blu-ray.
There you go.
Um,
Decided not to do the Max. Oh, I'm sorry, HBO Max.
yes, they're back to HBO Max. Thank you
I'm
very
sorry.
much.
You know
Yes,
what? I
opted.
apologize, and I should fire myself.
When in doubt, absolutely go away from that compressed streaming crap. And this is a gorgeous looking film. It is also a film that after I watched it, I was like, maybe this is the fourth greatest movie of all time. It is a movie that moved me to my core. Ryan, you know my favorite movie of all time is The Tree of Life. This has a lot in common with The Tree of Life.
Oh yeah.
While being a lot more literal
Hmm.
than The Tree of Life, but it is a film that evoked so many like sensory memories in me as well as just evoked, some of the definitive memories of my life. I thought about one of the early scenes that just really moved me to my core was just there's a scene early on where the grandmother goes out into like a grass field with her grandson, and the she asks him, "What do you want to do when you grow up? Do you want to be a doctor like your dad?" And she says that with sort of a sense of, I'm proud of his accomplishment, but I feel like it's distanced him from me. And he's just doing what little kids do. He's not listening to her. He's playing in the grass with like a stick. And that evoked a true like sense of reality to me that made the hair stand up on my arm. It's so true to life. It's so lived. It's so lived. That's what this movie is it is such an incredible achievement in understanding the human experience. And I had a sensation like that a dozen times watching this movie. It made me think of things like it's like almost one to one to this movie, and it might just be something that's personal to me, but I feel like it's almost universal while also feeling like something very specific, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
I I I I had this memory of when I was in, I think it was the summer before I went to college. My grandfather was having like quadruple bypass surgery, and I my mom asked me, "Hey, do you want to go down?" I was in Raleigh, North Carolina. He was in Atlanta, Georgia. And my mom asked me, "Hey, do you want to go down and see him?" And I asked her, is it how serious is it? Because I was just like a snotty, 18, 19-year old. I was smarter than everybody else. I said, "Is it that serious? Do you need me to go? Am I going to see him again?" And she said, "I don't think it's that serious, but no way to be sure." And I said, "Well, if it's not that serious, I want to stay here. I want to play golf or whatever." It was a selfish reason that I didn't want to go down. And then, sure enough, he passed away that weekend, right? Like I never got to see him again. And it was that sense of what I wanted to do versus the history of my family that prevented me from having that one last experience with this man that I loved deeply. And that's sort of the theme of the film, is how growing up distances you from your family. And I think that's even more potent in the kind of Eastern world experience. I think Ozu is considered kind of the most Japanese kind of filmmaker of all time, or the Japanese master. You think about Kurosawa, who is also an absolute master, but he has a lot of Western influences. The kind of perception and my understanding of Ozu is that he has an understanding of Japan and kind of a sense for Japan that no one else has ever had, while also being an absolute filmmaking master, which he is. And he's so still. It is, you think about what can film do that nothing else can do. It can tell you a story, which a book can do, other things can do, but it can also show you images and it can have music on top of it. It is the ultimate expression of all sort of artistic mediums. And what Ozu does is very still. It's not athletic. It's not Martin Scorsese going through the Copacabana, but through that stillness and through that low angle where he is so committed to sort of having the traditional sitting angle POV, it gives this real sense of restraint and respect and humanity in a weird way that maybe I'll be able to express at some point, but it has this inherent power that is hard to express, but it's so different than anything that everybody else has ever done, had ever done, and has ever done since then. Honestly, I think the closest that anybody has come is probably like late era Paul Schrader, where he's just like, I'm sitting the camera here and I'm going to let the scene play out. And he has expressed a great admiration for Ozu and some of his writing. He's kind of originally a critic. But it pulls out of me memories that are incredibly powerful, incredibly potent. And I did just come out of watching this film for the first time thinking this is probably one of the greatest films I've ever seen. Whether it's number four, I can't tell, but either way, it's an absolute masterpiece. I thought, Late Spring was a masterpiece, and this surpassed it. So, masterpieceman. That's what he is, a masterpieceman.
Um,
That's a word.
that's a word we can
It is
create.
now.
No, it is now. Um, I agree with everything you and Kevin have said so far. I think that this is a truly transcendent piece of work. His level of patience. You walk in, and when these first couple of films, particularly Late Spring and this one, I see the runtime of these things and I go, man, these are 2 hours. I thought this would be like an hour and a half.
217 for a very slow,
I was like, I thought this would be
static
like an
film.
hour and a
Yeah.
half, hour 45. And I'm like, okay, early on, you're like, okay, I gotta you're getting into the rhythm of this thing, getting in the rhythm of this thing. And it's just a simple story. It's just like, these older people in a generation going to see the their fruit that they've put out in the world, seeing their investment, the seeing their kids just in their lives.
The investment that has like slowly crawled away from them
Well, that's what's so interesting about this and the connection with like Late Spring. It's like that is a movie about the best thing for my child
is to push her away.
is to push them away, let them become an adult, and me be left with knowing that the satisfaction that I have as a parent is that they've left the nest. And this is what if I leave the nest to see what
My kids
the-
have grown to resent me.
Exactly.
It sucks.
they've grown
Oh my
to
God. I'm
They've-
dying already.
they've grown to live lives that are outside of those 18 years, 16 years, 17
Maybe your
years.
kid will just say that you're fat and you used to be fat and I was
Yeah.
ashamed of that scene is bananas.
But I mean, when as I was watching, and I mean, Jay, there's no way of going about this. We all at this age, I think that in your 30s you start trying to remember or piece back a little bit of the youthful of you, and because by the time you're 40, you either have had your family or you're
Mhm.
doing other things, and you're thinking about potentially what's to come in the back half of your life. And in my 30s, I've thought a lot about, as I've settled in my life and with my wife and everything here, I start thinking about the history of my family and where our divides are, and when you stop talking to people because they were part of your life for like 15, 20, 30, 40, how many ever years old you are. And it goes like, for some people out there, it is political reasons. Other reasons, it's just simply time. And then other reasons, primarily, I think it is because of there's these two giant pillars that are seeped in tradition and in joy and togetherness and unifies families, and that are grandparents. And on my dad's side in particular, and I'm going to get personal here, and Jay said we were going to get personal, and I'm totally going to be doing that today,
You got to do it.
is my family is on my father's side massively divided. And they are because I think once my grandfather passed away, it even further cemented people far away. I had a cousin that had lived in Europe for most of my life. I've had another one that lived in Russia and now lives in Seattle. I have one that lives in Houston. I have two that literally live here and actually feel more further apart from them than the ones that live in other countries and other states. And the only thing that are unifying everyone, though, is a text chain between my uncle, my aunts, and my dad. And that is what is left of a legacy, honestly, because you would think that the perfect thing that a father or a mother or a parental family would want is that bond of knowing that when I am gone and when she is gone, you'll all have each other. And what was so devastating watching this movie, and I think the last 30 minutes of this movie is marvelous and heartbreaking in ways that I can not overtly over describe. For like, I have used those words for many other films. I think they are clinical definitions here, because one of those pillars falls in this film pretty tragically and suddenly, almost to like the level of extent of like and shockingness of like when you watch like Manchester by the Sea and you see that happen, you're like, wait, why is everyone so sad? And then it happens and your mouth's on the floor. I was kind of shook by how sudden and quick all this was, but isn't that how life is? You don't get to plan when this is going to happen. There is no timetable to be able to do that. And how people deal with grief is a very interesting thing. I always find it to be one of the most fascinating things about us, and actually says more about us than when people are alive. And that family has the depictions of pretty much every shitty individual I can remember of when my grandparents passed away, or when a relative has passed away, or an in-law has passed away in my life. Of people are materialistic about objects, they're materialistic about time. They want to get as far away from this as possible. Their mind is on, I know I said baseball games, they are. It's literally on anything that isn't this, anything that isn't these people.
But I do think that's
And
sort
that,
of an Eastern culture thing too.
no, but
A little bit.
it's a universal thing. It is. I don't think it just has to be about culture,
No, yeah, agree.
because I think that what Ozu's doing here in post-war is blending the West and the East, and making more, I think, universal things, Jay, than just about his country anymore, because that's how we are left as a world post World War II. Is this happens to everybody, death and the loss and tragedy of a family.
It does specifically call out World War II at points.
It does. And I think of like, I think
Japan in World War II is one of like the most. It's interesting to reflect on Japan in World War II.
But I also think about like
they were
this
bad news, man.
There's like in this movie when these two elder statesmen of this family are like going there, and they thought that Japan or that Tokyo would be more than what they were told, but yet they're not really in Tokyo. They're like on like a little suburb on the outside.
But they're also
And
not there to be in Tokyo. They're
no,
there to hang out with their kids,
no,
and
but
they like
then
pawn them off to a spa. And it's
they
like that's not what I'm hearing. I
or
know you think that's
to
good, but
or they spend most of their time with someone that isn't a blood relative. And that
that's one of the most
line,
potent parts of the film.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's it's the most telling, but it's also like that person wants to have time with them because they've lost
A
the most
person that
person.
understands loss. Yeah.
Yeah, that understands the value of, because everybody else is still married, has some have kids, some have businesses, some are
Hmm.
still thriving for the most part. And here's this woman who's like, I've lost my husband, I lost my family, I lost everything. The only thing I have are these two people left. So if they're coming, I have to show appreciation to them because they gave me the most important thing I've ever had in my life. And
But also
how,
just has an understanding for the effort that they put into going there in the first
yep.
place, and
But isn't there like
not
Jay, to me,
our
no more.
priorities are straight.
There's a more, the most saddest part of this was like when they're laying in that room above like the party and the
Oh my God,
mahjong
when
and
they're
everything.
like, oh,
They're like in the way. They're just pieces of furniture. And how
and
then
then, but
how
then,
people how
meanwhile,
they're treated like in death and in life is no
the
different.
song that's being sung is making the ultimate sacrifice is the only way to be a man. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
they've had a kid who died in war.
Yeah.
It's tragic.
It's so tragic. And I think this movie's just beautiful. It was just, I was thinking weirdly, I don't know what this says, but I was thinking weirdly of my grandparents a couple weeks ago. No context to this movie whatsoever. Hadn't seen it. This was a first time watch for me. Was just thinking about the fact that like I grew up with my grandfather for about 12 years of my life, and then my grandmother passed away a month after I got married in 2018. And so she was around for almost 30 years of my life. And those funerals were way different. The time was different.
Hmm.
Is it close to a decade apart? And just how lonely it is to be without the person that you love the most, and how sad it is what will be left of your memory. It's a small moment at a table. It's someone taking clothes, but ultimately it's the sorrow of your partner there alone and having to go to sleep
Oh my God,
or
him
do a
fanning
ritual.
himself at the end of the movie.
Exactly, doing something
Forget
that
about it. Oh
they've
my
done
God.
every day, mostly for their lives, and being alone in the process of it.
No, that
It's
is
marvelous, marvelous
incredible.
film, and
It is, yeah.
it's fucking devastating. Because then the next thing I wanted, and I watched the last uh 20 minutes of the film, which are the most miraculous parts of this movie, with my wife, and she had no context for this, and when Jesus Christ, I kind of caught her up to speed, and I told her, and she watched this and she went like, holy shit, that's a lot to like pack in. And
But it's
she's
also the
just,
way that it's
so then we had to
told
watch,
from a filmmaking perspective.
so we had to watch
It's
something funny afterwards, because like we were like, we gotta get the fuck out of here. And it was a lot to handle, but
Quick cat videos.
yeah, quit. No,
But
we
it
watched
does,
like
it does
we
have
watched,
a
yeah, pretty
it
much.
has a
yeah.
beauty to it too.
No,
It's-
it does. No,
It's not like it's purposefully trying to absolutely devastate you because
no,
they're
I think the devastation is just personal because you carry.
Yeah.
yes.
It's you project on through the themes what you carry in.
Agreed. I think that's
What's
part of the
agreed?
power of the minimalism.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It's shown in such a observational way
That's
in
his
with
filmmaking technique from that bottom up. We are the audience.
Static.
We are static. We are the ones from
It's
that
kinda
perspective
POV,
looking right
yeah.
into the eyes of with those shots, but then also too those POVs. Like it's so observatory, so that you are kind of technically looking as if you were like on a screen in a theater. You're looking from that angle and you're seeing as if they're talking right to you. So then therefore you can relate to these people in
I
such
do
a way
think the
that is
angle in this movie is
different
a
than other
little
films.
lower than what we.
It almost, you know what?
It's not from the traditional eye level of somebody.
No, but you know what it was, to your point, Jay, earlier, I was thinking about with it being a little bit lower, and you're absolutely right, was that it's from a almost like a grandchild's perspective. It's almost
Sure.
from like those,
it's from the perspective of someone younger, is how
yeah,
I would describe
Yeah,
it.
that's good.
who can't
Yeah.
understand, because like we see the kids early on, but really
Yeah,
that
what a great
perspective
film.
is there throughout the entire film, and those kids are,
Bratty grandchild.
yeah, the bright grandchild, which is what we technically all are. Now, I'm different. I was the only boy on my dad's side. And I was the youngest. So I got like, when my parents divorced, I was like, my grandfather wanted me every day, every time. And my grandmother would take me to the movies in the summer. And I go to video arcades with my grandfather. So like, I didn't have a problem seeing them. You know, on my mom's side, my grandmother on there was a little bit more stricter, and there was like, she had like, she had 8 kids, and she had 12, like 20 plus grandchildren, and I was in the middle. So I was like neither the youngest nor like the oldest. So like, it was kind of like you get lost in the wash there. But when I spent alone time with her, there was still like moments of like, you're my grandson, I love you, I go, but not spoiled to the level on the other side. But I definitely was still bratty like that for sure. There would be moments where like, do we have to go do that? Can't we like go to a movie? We all have that. We all have that. We don't want to hang out with old people because we're young and we're stupid.
That's what they
we
say in the
should want to
movie.
hang out with these old people.
Every
You know
child
what I mean?
eventually starts to resent their parents. And
Yeah.
as the father of a toddler right now, I'm like, God, that's going to happen eventually.
There's gonna be a moment, and you're gonna have to fight the urge to not want to throw your child into the incinerator. There's gonna be a moment when you're
that's exactly the level. Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to want to throw him into a volcano.
well, they're gonna say something like, "Do we really have to go hang out with grandpa or grandma? The most like important people in your life."
Or whatever. I'll ask him to go see a movie, and he'll be like, I don't want to.
You hope
wanna
that's
go-
the case,
I want
because
to know.
because
I will ask him, hey, do you want to go see the new Jordan Peele movie? And he'll be like, yeah, I'd rather go kiss a girl. And I'm like,
Yeah.
get out of here.
But he's gonna do that. But like Jade, when we were talking about Late Spring, that's what he's gonna do to you. But in this case, it is in the early parts of this movie, the first half, it is definitely like, who is the most important person to all of us growing up was our parents, who are like our first best friend, or the person that taught us the most lesson. So it's only more heartbreaking than and you really realize this, when the person that looks up to you the most is going to probably do that one time in your life, where you're like, do we have to really go over to their house? Can't we just go and to like play video games at the house? No, we need to go and see grandma and grandpa, you know what I mean? And make it sound like it's better than it probably is for them. But then down the road, when you think, man, that time is so precious, because with grandparents, you're on borrowed time.
But it's even more, it's different than that, because this is about people our age being like, what a pain it is to have our parents stay over.
That's even the thing, the distance.
And that was the thing that hit me hard, because I'm about to have my parents stay over this weekend, and I have been dreading it. And because, and if you asked me when I was a kid, I would have said, my mom is my best friend. I literally said, my mom brings it up all the time. I said at one point, I don't ever want to move away from you, Mom. And that's how it was when I was a kid. And then slowly you start to, have your own ideas, and maybe at some point your own politics that might differentiate from your parents. But it does get to this point where it's like, you're
not ready to sit at the table and talk about ice.
No, this legitimately made me contemplate how I will treat my parents this weekend when they're staying here to celebrate my grandson's birthday. Their grandson's birthday, my son's birthday.
Just this weekend, though. Then next week, when you see a different movie, you see Weapons, you're just gonna be like, get them out of here.
Yeah, when I go and watch Blue Valentine, I'll be like, you know what? not only do I not like my parents, I want to get divorced.
And then you're like,
Uh,
and then you're just drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon the whole time.
yeah, exactly. But no,
Heineken, you know.
it legitimately did make me contemplate my relationship with my parents and this idea that, they gave me a great upbringing. And then it also made me think, do my parents think, are my parents proud of me? You know?
Oh,
Oh God, don't
oh
don't
shit.
don't go into
We going there
that.
tonight?
We're going to
Because that's
that.
that's the point of the end
Yeah.
of the movie when all those guys are drunk and they're just like, your son's doing okay. And that idea where they really let loose and really contemplate, am I proud of my child? But it's not because they resent the child, it's because they consider that a reflection of themselves,
Hmm.
right? That is to a certain extent their legacy. My entire goal raising my child was to make him or her very successful.
Yeah.
And for somebody to come up a little bit short of maybe their too high expectations for their child. And also to live vicariously through your child is a serious problem that many parents have.
Yeah.
But either way, they consider the status of their child to be a reflection of their experience, their life. And that is so potent. And
Yeah.
you
It's
know,
absolutely relatable on a level as an
it's
Asian person myself. Like I see this kind of thing all the time of like, yeah, how parents sort of like see their own value and their
yeah,
whether or not they have been successful based on where their children are and how their children are doing. And yeah, this film did a lot for me in terms of like thinking about personal experiences. Ryan, you talked about visiting grandparents. Um, my grandparents on my mother's side have both passed away, and when they
Mhm.
passed, I think I was like one of the big events that happened on grandparents' side was my grandfather on my mom's side. He loved to ride the motorcycle. He loved to bike outside and, grab food to eat and drink and stuff. And I remember like one morning being told by my parents that grandfather got hit by a car.
No.
And I remember like how that affected my mom, affected the rest of my day that day as well. But it also like but there were certain things that sort of affected how I responded to it at the time because I was only a middle school kid, and actually of all my grandparents, my grandfather on my mother's side was the one who I didn't really connect with,
Yeah.
the one I connected with the least because he was actually the oldest of
Mhm.
all four of my grandparents, and so he couldn't really like he was actually quite healthy, but it was hard for me as a kid to understand him. And so there was like a really big gap. It was very different from like my grandparents on my father's side, where they were very vocal. They talked all the time. They love to gossip and they love to chat. They would take me to Toys R Us,
They fit like your personality as a child, where you're just
yeah.
they're willing if a grandparent's willing to do something with you
Mhm.
with a child at all, they are the ultimate hero.
Right.
Especially if you're
They're
like,
amazing.
you'll get me a $5 toy at this place or whatever. You will be my friend forever. You know what I mean? Especially if it's the toy that also your parent will not allow you to have either. Then it's like,
Exactly.
then
Exactly.
you're double up. But yeah, then if it is always interesting, right, Kevin? Because then you have the other grandparents where it's not that. So it's interesting having this duality within your lineage,
Well,
right?
so the other interesting thing was, so both my grandparents on my father's side, they're in Taipei, and Taipei's a big city. It's
Hmm.
the capital of Taiwan. My grandparents on my mother's side are from like a very small town in the southern part of Taiwan. It's like a village, basically. And I just came back from that place like a year ago. I visited twice, last year and the year before. And it's like as seeing it as an adult, it's like, wow, it's one of those really like low status in terms of like economics. Like
Hmm.
it's not like Taipei, which is a big city and feels like there's a lot of money here. There's a big economy and people are all working.
It's movement and it's
There's
just,
movement all the time.
yeah.
Exactly. Where my mom's hometown is not like that at all. It's very, very quiet. Almost every business that you see is a restaurant or like a small mom and pop
Mm.
shop kind of thing. It's a very quiet
More
little,
communal, more close
yeah,
knit.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so that trickled into my relationships with my grandparents as well. So my grandparents on my father's side, they were the type who would always take me to the mall, would take me to toy stores, would take me to the movie theater to see something that I wanted to see. Whereas my grandparents on my mother's side barely did any of those things. My memories as a child of like hanging out at my mom's side was hanging out in the living room,
Mm.
eating street food,
Mm.
like going grabbing street food from those carts and bringing them back, spreading it all out on the living room table and
Man.
eating it while watching whatever the TV was showing. It's usually something that grandpa was watching, right? And I remember as a kid finding that to be way more boring. And so
Yeah.
I and so
Because
I
it
rem
because we want because it's like we love
you
the
want the
flashy
noise,
lights. Yeah,
you
you
want
want
the
the
noise,
noise. Yeah.
you want the physical activity, right? So like as a kid, I at that time like I would retreat to like our room, and our room had our own TV, and I was able to like turn on the TV and switch to like a movie channel that I was more interesting for like 88-year-old me to watch.
Mm.
And I kid you not, now as an adult, thinking back, I cherish the memories of being at my mom's hometown more, the feeling of going out late at night to one of those carts and grabbing any sort of food that looked interesting to you, like fried tofu, fried corn with seasoning on it, a big roasted chicken leg. Like they were amazing, right? And you just sit down, you're eating, you have a drink, maybe you have the TV turned on, but not at that loud of a volume
Like
because
a
you're also sort
either
of
muted or low.
just low enough so that you can kind of hear what the people are saying on TV, but it's low enough so that you can have a conversation
Hmm.
with your relatives. So like those are suddenly like the more precious memories that I have, and it
Yeah.
like breaks my heart that I can't have more of them because they're both gone now. And then there's also the fact that like some of my favorite relatives, like my aunt on my mother's side, is also gone. In fact, actually, my aunt on my mother's side had cancer, and then my grandfather on my mother's side basically was like just on life support all the time, like just kept alive because of the accident. And I kid you not, they both passed on the same day,
Wow.
you know.
But you
And
know how what a film. I mean, obviously horrific events. I condolences, Kevin. I know it's very hard, but it evokes memories of that nature, which is what a powerful film to make you think about that stuff. And it's
yeah,
but what this film does is it makes you reflect on those memories with sort of a certain amount of appreciation that you got to have anything before that, right?
yeah. It also made
Um,
me appreciate the dynamic that I have with my direct family right now. It's
yeah.
one of those things where it's like, I'm really grateful that my relationship with my parents is not this.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the things that I really appreciate from both my parents is they were the type who would often pull me aside and whisper to me about, like, be a little thoughtful here, and they will explain a little bit of context. And like for example, when I got older, I stopped expressing interest to go back to Taiwan. It's so far, it's really hot. And also, like, as I got
Hmm.
older, I became less interested to want to hang out with extended family, right? But my parents were the type of people who would like pull me aside and explain to me, like, you probably want to consider going because you don't know if it's going to be your last time seeing them. And they were the type who would tell me that. And they were really good at changing my mind, or like they're really good at making me think about those things so that I can make a more informed,
Hmm.
thoughtful, and considerate like decision,
Yeah.
right? And then I that's how I was raised. That's how my sister was raised. And so I think there was like a time once where like I think my dad was going through a phase where my dad was getting a bit more like emotional in a grateful way. Like he's grateful of the things that we're in. And my dad is like he hustles because he runs a startup. So his whole life is work, work, work. So much so that he's sort of at the phase now where if the mood is right, he would start expressing regret about how there's parts of my childhood that he doesn't remember, and there's parts of my sister's childhood that he doesn't remember, right? And so, but then to see me and my sister still so eager to hang out with them, grab dinner with them, like we still eat, lunch and dinner together every day, you know. And I remember one time where I was in New York City. I was getting ready to prepare for my thesis shoot. That's my last year in my grad school program, and I still FaceTimed my dad to wish him happy birthday. And this was like right before my family was about to eat. And I managed to like call them right before they were about to eat. I called my dad. I said, hey, real quick, I know you guys are about to eat, but I just wanted to call in and say happy birthday. And my dad cried. And I've never seen him cry before. He was that kind of guy who was like who would hide that kind of emotions from his own wife. He would hide that emotions from his children. I've never seen him with a voice that shakes like that before. And yeah, it brings to mind that like this saying, right? It's like a parent's biggest achievement is when the parent reaches like, oh, when the child reaches like age 40 or so, and the child still wants to hang out with their parents. That's when you know you did well.
Jay,
Yeah,
you've got like 40, like 35 years until, 37 years until you get to that point. So
I'm almost there.
you gonna keep podcasting with me 37 years so we can pot on that moment and
Dude,
come
we'll
back
be
to this.
podcasting post retirement,
There you
man.
go, buddy.
I'm gonna get my pension through this podcast.
God,
Uh,
we're never gonna run out of series. That's what's so great about it.
no, yeah, we're gonna get to Harmony Korine at some point. Uh, what is it? What more credit can you give this movie than to say that it evokes memories
Memory
like that in your mind? You know,
that it evokes even like personal memories like now, Jay, where you're like,
that's a story that makes me well up, and I didn't live it, you know,
oh,
and that's this movie, really.
Jay,
Uh,
can I ask you a question?
I'll allow it.
Okay, because Kevin, you are newly engaged and you're
Hmm.
about to get married, and
Congrats,
Jay
Kevin. Come on now.
and Jay, you've been married for how long to your beautiful wife? So, and you better get this right
This will
because
be my
otherwise you'll get
seventh anniversary.
yes, and this will be my seventh anniversary as well.
Hmm.
So, did we get married in the same year?
2018.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you guys get? When was it in Europe for you guys?
November.
And we got married in October. Is that right?
Wow.
And we didn't go to each other's wedding. No.
Damn.
I think
Damn, y'all fucked up.
We were just
barely
babies though,
familiar
starting
with each
off.
other at that point.
Yeah, we were barely putting up with each other at that time. I'm like,
Yeah.
God damn it, we're gonna do this shit with this
We were
guy.
probably like that was when we were
He's
probably
gonna be
like
gone for a week.
yelling at each other every podcast off mic.
That's true. Now we're best friends. So it's
We're best friends.
we're
We're
best
finally about to meet each other. For the
I
first
know.
time
I'm
in
so
person.
excited. I think by the time this is well, no, not by the time this is coming out, but in a couple weeks we'll have seen each other. And Kevin and I we hang out at least once or twice a year at film festivals. Jay
I
on the other hand,
visited you one time in San Antonio.
you did. That's right. We had dinner.
Yep.
A better person than I.
Yeah. And well, Jay was going to come down here, but then he saw the ticket prices for the Final Four for Auburn and said,
Yeah.
absolutely the fuck not. And you know, it was crazy. I cleaned that whole room. I made a bed. I did the laundry.
Well, it's
And then
clean now.
he texted me, I'm not coming. And then I just, like that.
Hey,
in
these
red-
tickets are $1,100.
you could have come just watched it with me. And you know how like in the running gag and Arrested Development of the Charlie Brown Christmas music,
Mhm.
I felt like that walking out of that room and
Yeah.
closing the door.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's fair. But what I was going to ask was, this isn't just about like children's relationships with their parents. This movie's a lot about that relationship you have. The line in this
Grandparents.
movie is not just grandparents either. It's also the family that you make through your children,
Oh my
in-laws.
God, the daughter-in-law.
The daughter-in-law is
Crazy.
such an
The
incredible. I mean,
daughter-in-law whose husband, the widow.
that died in war. The line at the end of the movie, "You treated us better than our own children did." Fuck off. So I wanted to ask you guys about y'all's relationship with your in-law and your spouse's or future spouse relationship with
Mhm.
y'all's in-laws, and if there's strong connection there as well too, and it invokes memories. Because I know, at least personally for me, I watched this last 20 minutes, and my wife sat there and said, "Oh, so that's like if you died and me hanging out with your dad, like I do
Mhm.
every Tuesday, because we record a lot of shows on Tuesday, and they go out to dinner, or like my mom." She doesn't call and ask how I'm doing first. She calls and asks how my wife's doing first. So they have a great relationship. I've
That
no,
is awesome.
I've known,
That's how you know you won. You
I know
won in
she's
life.
won. Everybody loves her. They don't give a shit about me. And then my in-laws, I mean, I've been with my wife. We've been married 7 years, but we've been together for 16 years. And so I've was the first ever taste of a quote unquote.
We've been together for a mere 14.
There you go. Yeah, get on board.
15?
50. Well, you're still a year behind.
14. 14.
But I was the first ever like, okay, this guy's going to be a son-in-law. And so one of my sister-in-laws, she's got married. There's been, other people that come in and out, but I've been through a lot. And the other thing that I've been through was Megan's last grandparent passed away just a couple of years ago. And she also, and it was her grandmother, and my grandmother's passed away. Like my grandmother on my father's side passed away a month after we got married, and my other grandmother passed away in 2020. She was 95, and but they all have great memories of Megan, and they all have experiences with her, and she's got stories, and she would. So when anytime I get sentimental and I think back on them, or I think back of that generation in my family, she at least has a taste of those memories that I remember and that history, and also where I get some of the stupid shit in my lineage as well. But the memory I always have, the lasting memory I have of my grandmother was she slowly died of dementia. And 2 weeks after we got married, I went and saw her because it was going to be Thanksgiving, and I knew that she was struggling. And I went with my dad, and we were talking to her, and nothing was coming through. Nothing was coming through. Not about the wedding, not about Thanksgiving, things in life, anything. And I said, "Megan says hello." And my grandmother's eyes opened up for the first time in this 45-minute conversation. And she said her name back. And that's the last time she spoke anything. 2 weeks later, she passed.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of thing. It's like she was there the whole time for that. And then I was there for when her grandmother passed, literally a year or two later. And you just think about how close you can be with people that aren't blood to you, and memories, and how that can make even your familiar ties stronger. Her family all came to the funeral. My whole family came, at least my parents did, and a couple of other my family members went to her grandmother's funeral. And it just is that's the thing about the end of this movie, is it's like all those kids go, but that one person that is not blood related stayed. And it's because, again, those two people created the most important person in your life that then would then create the most important thing in your life. You know what I mean, Jay? Like
Hmm.
the most important thing in your life is your son. But before that, it was your wife. You know what I mean? And before
Yeah.
all that, it was your parents. And so it all connects. And that's what this movie got so much. And it just, I agree with you, Jay. Like it was very Malickian. I hate using that. I hate using expressions like that. But it was like you start peeling the layers
It
back
uses this very
generation.
simple story
It
to
really does.
reveal some of the most important ideas that humanity can expose. It
The tapestry
opens,
of life that just
yeah,
opens up, man. It's incredible. But I
it's
wanted to ask you guys about if y'all had that similar sort of experience or have that experience personally in your lives. Either one of you can go first about that outside of your lineage, the second family that is the most important in your life becomes your in-laws. You know what I mean? Whether you like them or not. I mean, Jay, you talk about your father-in-law all the time on this show when you're watching the
yeah.
trash
He watches
films.
Netflix garbage a lot, but
Yeah.
no, I God, now we're getting like into
That's what this is.
really
You're just gonna
personal
have to
stuff.
we're gonna have to embrace it. That's what this episode is
Um,
tonight.
yeah. So I sometimes have a difficult time expressing myself verbally directly to people. But
You?
I have written very important letters to people that I have literally handed them as a way of saying this is how I feel, but have a hard time saying this to your face. And so I gave my mother-in-law a letter um, shortly after my wife gave birth to our son, currently our only child. Um, and she was kind of the only person in the delivery room throughout the process of my wife giving birth to our son. She had a very difficult birth. We were in the hospital for 3 or 4 nights, I think, after she went into labor, and she had an extraordinarily difficult birth. It was very, very, very difficult and honestly scary. Um, and I'll be honest, leading up to that very scary experience, it felt to me like stagnation. I got a little frustrated with the fact that I thought they were not inducing quickly enough. And I'm a very impatient person, and I got frustrated. I wanted to go on walks. I was a little annoyed throughout the entire process. And my mother-in-law was there the entire way as an incredibly patient, present, uh, understanding source of comfort for my wife when at times I was not able to be. And that is completely my fault. And it's something that I regret and resent within myself. Um, and so a few months after that happened, and it was very trying, and the aftermath of it it was a long recovery period, and she stayed with us throughout that recovery period. When I had like 2 weeks of paternity leave, and then I just had to go back to work because that's how it works in the United States of America. Um, and she was an incredible asset throughout that entire process, and I just had to at some point let her know how appreciative I was of her throughout all of that, while not necessarily being the most emotionally present physically person in the world, where I wanted to say things to her that would have been very difficult for. Again, I need to go to therapy. That's what I need to do. Really, that's what it needs to happen.
You don't need to do it.
Um,
You can just do the show with me. You're fine.
yeah, that's right.
I say
That's what the show's for.
yeah.
But
We save a fuck ton of money on therapy doing this show.
I wrote her this incredibly heartfelt letter about how appreciative I was for all of that, and you know how much I loved her and her husband, my father-in-law, and then watching this film, it absolutely brought to mind those ideas and how powerful in-laws can be. And especially in this moment, if God, God forbid, my wife were to pass away, I would still consider them members of my family 100%. Which is it's a very powerful thing, and it's a very hard thing to grapple with hypothetically, but it is something that Ozu evokes completely and authentically. It's a hard thing to talk about, man, but it's a
No, it is.
film that
No, yeah.
it's a film that makes you feel
Mm.
in ways that very few films make you feel. We've talked about a lot of personal stuff,
Yeah.
despite the fact that this is a film with a very specific story.
Yeah.
Um, and that's the power of it. I understand why people hold this film in such high regard. And honestly, I'm like, you're telling me I could have watched this film 10 years ago and watched it 10 times since then?
How long's it been sitting on your shelf?
Um, Probably 5 years.
Probably about 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just never pulled it off until we did this
No,
series.
that's why I have a podcast, man.
Yeah, there you go. Kevin.
It's so powerful. You know what? And I know I want Kevin to speak to it more, but I just want to say
But then
one
you
more
but you
thing.
got to get one more point in.
I got to get one more. Well, I kind of do because I'm not sure I'll get it out if I don't just say it while
That's
it's
fair.
top of mind. You know what came to mind for me was I lost my final grandparent on both sides of my family recently within the last 6 months, and I remember as he was growing older, he was well into his 90s, and I remember at a certain point him just casually talking about his friends dying. He had gotten to the point where people just started dying around him, and it became
Oh
normal,
man. Oh man.
which is something that I feel like the grandparents in this film exhibit as well.
Yeah.
It's so weird to think that eventually people dying will become just like a thing that you have to go to, and it's like, oh, I have to go to another funeral this weekend. He had this crew of people that he would go to breakfast with every Saturday or whatever day it was, and then all of a sudden it whittled down from 6 people to 5 to 4 to 3, and then by the end I think it was 2. And that was just something that you had to deal with. And they speak about death with a sense of indifference is probably the wrong word, but a sense of almost comfort to a certain extent. Um, that I think is so admirable, but also for me, as a person with a chronic fear of death, was extremely potent, and again makes you feel a very certain type of way. It's
I think you especially feel it in the Chishu Ryu's performance as the grandfather, especially
yeah.
in the last 30 minutes.
He should have
The way
won not just an Oscar, a Nobel Prize. He should have won, a Pulitzer and a Nobel Prize and an Oscar for this performance. I think it's unbelievable.
unbelievable. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with everything you guys have been saying about it. There's something about the authenticity of this film where it's like it stops feeling like a movie. It's like
Hmm.
everything about how the heartbreak and the pain unfolds. It's like every once in a while there's a voice in my head that goes, "This was scripted, right? Because it sure doesn't feel like it. It sure doesn't feel like it was scripted and telegraphed and like staged, right?" There's an image, there's a visual in this film that has like stayed with me like ever since. And actually, every time I think about this film, I think about that moment, that image. It's the scene near the middle part of the film where the grandmother is having a conversation with the daughter-in-law. And I think it's like right when the grandmother first brings up the idea where she suggests to the daughter-in-law that you should remarry,
Hmm.
and she turns down the idea, and like the conversation kind of comes to an end, and then they say goodnight to each other. And the way the grandmother kind of like turns away and prepares to lie down, and the daughter-in-law turns the light off. You get this shot where the camera is just still, and lingers on the daughter-in-law's face, but you hear the grandmother behind her crying as they kind of
Hmm.
quietly go to sleep. That uh image, that visual is it's so haunting, it's so beautiful, it's so painfully realized. I just appreciate that there are filmmaking voices out there like Ozu who understand that sometimes the best way to convey a really human thing is to say nothing at all.
And like a big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's commuting. This movie feels enormous without any panache, really, except for the occasional direct to camera address.
Mhm.
And then sometimes there are, when they're out there by the sea and they're sitting on the barricade.
Oh man. You mean
Yeah.
the thing I got behind?
Kind of the definitive
It's
shots
like
of the
it's
film.
the cover on the
It's the
Criterion.
Criterion cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where it
And
does
it's
give this sense of smallness, whereas so much of the film is all about interiors and this concentration of
how our
emotion.
world is
In that moment, it's
so
about,
small in
yeah,
the landscape of everything,
yeah,
right, Jay?
it's the
In the
ultimate.
history of
That's the
China.
thing. It's about restraint, and then all of a sudden, that moment, which would in many other movies feel so normal, feels so significant and so huge. All of a sudden, you go from this very intimate still camera to a David Lean shot.
Yeah,
And
like a
it
boat
has
that's
that
just
much
going
effect.
through
Yeah.
its normalcy. It's like, like that shot of right after, all the kids have made up their mind that they're leaving that night, and the boat's moving on as if like,
Yeah.
okay, well,
That's what
time,
starts to feel
everything's
spiritual
happening,
for me, honestly.
like, yeah, it means both things
It's
for me. Honestly, it means that
God.
she's moved on upriver this way, and then they're traveling back to where they came the other way. Life moves on, even though
Yeah.
the circle of life for someone has ended. And it contains, as that dumb movie, The Life of Chuck would say, multitudes.
I've not seen
And
The Life of Chuck, but we're not talking about that's the last time The Life of Chuck will be
I can't
invoked.
mention it too
You
much.
know what's the most potent line of the film to me?
Um,
And this is the one that reminds me of Tree of Life a lot.
oh, which one?
It's
I was gonna
towards the
joke, but I want to
very
know.
end of the film where they're talking to the widow. And apologies, we keep referring to these people as like their familial roles in the
I just don't
family.
want to really screw up their names because I
Yeah,
think because we
but
will. That's just
um,
Jay and I have butchered a lot of people's names in the
yeah,
past. We're not
the
going to
the
try to do it
grandfather
today.
says to her after she says, "I'm happy being a widow. Like I love my life. I'm very happy," and he says, "I would really love if you forgot my son." That's oh. I
I think
told you
what
earlier that most of this review will just be me going, oh, oh
I've,
my God.
but I think also too when the other children have like gathered and Jay, you mentioned that the beautiful story about your and heartbreaking story about your grandparent. When the one son was like, I could have got on that train quicker. The sort of
Oh, if I had made the 8:40 train, I would have been here before she died.
yeah, the sort of the that,
Let me
but
say
then
again. Oh,
ugh, but then there was a what do you call it? Those four the children are inside, and yet it's the daughter-in-law coming out, and she when she calls him father, that's when it really got me. The rest of them have been very respectful, and you really hadn't heard that word a lot in the film, and that's the level of respect she has for him. Is that and but then also too, we've talked a lot about the kids and what this all is, but his immediate reaction when his son, the doctor, gives him the news that she's not going to make it to tomorrow, his wife, the grandmother,
so that's
and
the
he
end,
just
right? And
keeps
then what he says?
repeating the same line over and over again, like it's a full on stun, you know. And my wife picked up something. She picked up who's the actress's name that played the daughter-in-law? I'm sorry, I
Oh
forget.
boy, you're playing a dangerous game. It's the
Setsuko Hara.
yeah,
So
Setsuko
Sugahara.
Hara, who was the
So
star of
Megan and
late spring.
Megan had
these
never
are,
seen, it's his muse because he's works with her so many times.
yeah, Shishu
So
Ryu and Setsuko Hara are
so
kind of
she has this she smiles a lot when she talks. And I my wife was like, that's really interesting. Was that like a technique that they told her, back then to do and use? And I said, I think that actually means so many things. And for me, I was sitting there in this because, like, in late spring, that smile hides a lot of of the the sorrow of potentially leaving, because you see when she's happy in her circumstances there, she's smiling a lot, and when the idea of being married and pushed away from her father in that film, she loses that joy. And in here, I think, especially in that wonderful scene with the youngest daughter and her, and that the young daughter just being like angry at her siblings for leaving early and being materialistic and being vain and unsentimental, unsympathetic to their father and what has happened here. That smile that she has as she's speaking
oh my God,
is
that forced smile.
Is a forced smile to
Oh,
because everybody handles grief differently. And I say that all the time, and I truly believe that. And she is trying the best out of all of them to keep a straight face and be the constant, because she is technically the constant. She's the one
another
that sees them the
incredible line.
most
Life is
before they
disappointing,
pass.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
pretty much
and
so.
meanwhile, while
the
she's
way
smiling, she's
the
like,
way
"Yes,
she maintains the smile while she
Because
says,
she's
yes,
had
it is.
to hold in her pain
I
from
may
because
become
she's
resentful in spite of myself."
because she's the only one really of those of the generation of that family that's lost something. And now
There's
they're facing loss for the first time, and she's learned her mechanisms to not crumble herself again. And
what her smile actually reminds me of a much newer movie.
The film Smile.
No. It reminds me of
kudos, Jay. Kudos,
it
Jay.
reminds me of Moonlight a little bit.
Interesting.
Well, yeah, they go to
Specifically
it's the demi close up, which Barry Jenkins has
specifically
been.
the casting of Trevon Rose as the adult Chiron
Mm.
is sort of I sort of felt like the way she hides behind that smile is kind of like how adult Chiron hides behind that build.
Oh, that's interesting. Like how he's still the skinny, quiet
Yeah.
kid, but he is built like the
Yeah. The
linebacker
facade.
for the for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
because the first time you see him, the first time the film gets to the third chapter, and you see Trevon Rhodes as Chiron, you're like, "Whoa,
wow, the
he
glow
look,
up.
whoa, Chiron changed, right?" But then he gets that first call,
Yeah, and it's
and that
Andre
little,
Holland,
and that,
and
yeah,
he's the strong person that he's become over the it slowly just quickly is gone.
slowly, suddenly, he's the
On some
little
of the
boy on
best
the
direct
beach
to
again.
camera work of all time.
Yeah,
I keep calling it the demi close up, but Ozu did it first. Maybe we
I'm
should
just
call
gonna
it
say I think it's actually the Ozu close up,
But
buddy.
it's known. I mean, that's just its name is the
In the
demi
modern
close-up.
lens, in the modern sense, yes, like
Yeah,
PTA.
that's what they call it. I mean,
Well, no,
PTA
I know
did it.
PTA and
Barry Jenkins.
Jenkins uses it all the time, but there's no question that like Demi takes a lot of inspiration from older directors, and in particular here, I yeah, I think it's remarkable, and I think also too the close-ups then in that final confrontation between these two daughters. I think it's just so eloquently staged. But then there's just greatness about like it becomes real silent.
Yeah.
Like silence by the end
It's
of that
never
film
a
is
loud movie.
never a loud movie, but man, the silence is deafening.
And
by
then
the
there's
end.
also again going back to one of my earlier comments, the thoughtfulness of knowing when to cut away from back and forth conversation of kind of looking into the camera. And we're back in the room, the living room. We're back in these lived spaces, right?
Hmm.
It's it's quite incredible that these are spaces that, you know, we've never been to, and yet there's already a sense of, I don't know if nostalgia is the right word, but like it's like nostalgia with a tinge of regret in it. You know, I think that living room, like where the final conversation is taking place between the grandfather and the daughter-in-law, like that room actually makes me think a lot about my grandparents' home on my mother's side, the home that my mom grew up in. Which, by the way, I didn't get to say earlier. Last year, when I went back to Taiwan with my family, we visited that neighborhood again. And I don't remember the actual logistics of what happened to that neighborhood, but somewhere along the way, that neighborhood was bought or returned to the city government or something like
And
that.
they've rechanged it.
Because there was something like unique about there was something significant, like historically significant about that neighborhood. I don't quite remember what it was, but they basically changed all of the homes in that neighborhood, in that street that even I remember, and they turned them into gift shops.
Jeez.
And recently, this trip last year, I went back and I we went into my mom's old house, the house where we ate street food in the living room, and everything looked the same, but smaller.
Yeah.
It felt smaller, it felt tighter, it felt more claustrophobic. And I'm not saying that just because it's
Because
now a
you
gift shop
grew
and
or it changed. It
yeah.
just,
Yeah, it's like that weird phenomenon that we experience as human beings where we go back to an old lived space that once was a lived space and suddenly it comes across as really small now.
Just the different
can
impressions
I, Kevin,
Yeah.
can
of
I tell you
things
what,
at
one
different
of those
ages.
when it happened to me
Yeah.
was of
Legos.
a couple, couple years ago. I was working for the school district here in town, and I was working as a director of after school programs. And I went to my old elementary school, and I walked into that place and nothing
Yeah.
changed. The building didn't
Schools
change
do that
anything.
too.
That
Yeah.
And
is so crazy.
and you walk in there and you're like, the steps it took me to
We
get
sat
from
on
one
these
place,
chairs.
I was like, the steps in here, like this thing feels so small.
Hmm.
But when I was a child, this was vast. Like I walked into the gym, it was the same gym where I would go after school and I would wait for my parents to pick me up and I would shoot. I was a 8 year old, 9 year old kid and I wanted to be Tim Duncan. And I would just like shoot baskets all day long. And the 3 point
We're
line,
just doing like stationary turnaround
I was
off the
doing out the
backboard.
backboards, baby. And yeah, a 3 point shot was well they
You were doing
didn't
like the least sexy
yeah,
turnaround jumpers of all
but
time.
most effective basketball you ever seen, buddy.
Potent, but
I was
not
winning
getting the
championships,
ladies.
all right. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
You were a winning player,
I was.
but
I
the
had,
cheerleaders were completely
and my
ignoring you.
clothes were so baggy. Anyway, but
A little basketball humor for everybody out there.
but I just remember when I shot a three there, man, it felt like so far away. And then I shot a basket, and I could do it one hand. Like I could literally just go like that, and it was so crazy. But then also too, Kevin, I remember I went in fifth grade, and my teacher was so pissed because it was a week. I got 2 weeks for summer vacation. My dad was like, "I don't care, he's coming," because my dad had an interview in Pennsylvania, and my grandfather grew up in Pennsylvania in a coal mining town, like a couple miles outside of Hershey, and that place would he got the opportunity essentially to go and interview with a company that was based up there but was going to have a headquarters also down in San Antonio. And so myself, my grandfather, and him went on a plane, and we went up there for a week, and we went to my grandfather's hometown. And this is like buildings where they're all connected to each other, and you could see that like if a gust of wind came in, this whole place is going down. And I remember that the people that owned the house that he grew up in, he was able to go in and see, but there was a trail in the back of the house, and it was this long trail that we went and walked. And my uncle, before we left, said, "There's a piece of coal. No one's going to take it. It's about halfway through the trail. It's off this side. And if you can find it, you can take it, bring it back." The bitch of bringing coal back in a post 9/11 suitcase was terrifying enough. But then we found two. I almost died on that trail because these hunters shot a bullet, like, and it whizzed over our heads and hit the tree, like 2 trees to the left of us. And
You do have bear vibes.
they were hunting bears because a bear had let loose and had like attacked into someone's house. So these guys who look straight out of Deliverance were out there searching for the bear.
Are you trying to
And
say that they thought you were a bear, Ryan?
They
Well,
saw
you shouldn't have,
something-
you shouldn't have been
they-
wearing a fedora and looking for picnic baskets.
listen, what can I say? No, it's that they saw movement and one got trigger happy. But yes, point of the story is I almost wasn't here, but it was so interesting to see some of the people that he grew up with, and they were still in that town, and they still looked the same, and it was familiar. And I remember him. We were driving away, and he looked at my dad and he said, "Those people. This is. Look at it. It's put together by tape, but they're so proud of it." And he goes, "This is where we're from." And he goes, and he also said, "And thank God we're still not here, because we were supposed to leave. Some people aren't, some people are, but to see the after effects of a place like that and how it connects in a tree in a line to where you're at now, that's all legacy. That's all what it's a part of." But then my dad went recently, and the places are still there, but they've got a new bank and they've got a new restaurant or two. And some of the old homes did fall and they built new ones. And so, but yet it still felt like him. It still felt like the small town clinging to things 50, 60 years ago and its identity. But he's like, but it feels so different. And it also, each time he's gone back, you're right, Kevin, it's smaller. The spirit is larger than the actual space. And I find that really interesting about memory and about how we collect those memories. Because we think about space, we think about like what's around. But like for your case, Kevin, it's food. For my dad, it's faces.
Mhm.
But
It's
in
so
the instance
different.
of this film, it's about going to a much larger city.
Yeah.
Doing
So
all
this is
this
the inverse.
sightseeing.
Yeah.
But for them, it feels unimportant. That's the grand cities, big business, all of those things do not matter to them anymore.
No.
And maybe they never did.
I think but I think, Jade, in a lot of ways, it's about them. I wouldn't say that
They weren't
realized
there to go see sights. They were there to hang out with their children, and
They
their
were made-
children
they wanted to-
abandoned them.
Yeah. Well,
It's,
they didn't.
honestly, it's tragic, man.
It's tragic, but they wanted to see
It's their daughter-in-law.
if they're all right.
Yeah, that I
It's
agree with
genuinely
that.
like earnest. It's not like, well, we got to see if they never once ever are like, well, you abandon us or you let us, or because one, that's not this type of movie. It's not an American movie where it's accusatory. It's, are they okay? We have put
I
off
think it
this
is
long
slightly
enough.
accusatory.
I don't think it is. Kevin, do you think it's accusatory?
I think it is
Towards who?
damning towards the children, and
I think
has
Ozu
an
is showing that.
adoration for the daughter-in-law.
I think the Ozu is showing that. I don't think the characters though themselves are showing that. Does that make sense? Like, I don't think those parents are going there
Well,
to accuse
when they're
their-
literally like, I'm not sure how proud I am of my kids, I would say that is a little
Well, yeah, but you
You
also
know,
say a lot of things, you know,
Yeah,
you know.
I think accusatory
Does the
is
daughter not love her father when she says, "I wish you would have died first"? A truly fucking blasphemous line if I've ever heard one. Like we say terrible things sometimes. Do we fully mean
but
them?
then I mean, what they make very clear is that the dad was like a pretty violent drunk when he was younger. I mean,
Yeah. And he has a lot of those regrets in him. He's also,
his
but
buddy
he's
is
allowed
like,
to change.
I should
Yeah.
have brought the switch out. Like that's what I screwed up not doing was switching my kids. And he was like, yeah, I guess so, but you
Yeah.
know, my son would still died in war. It is such a post World War II movie too. Um,
Yeah. I
Japan, World War II, post World War II is an incredibly
I
fascinating
just think that they realized
thing.
by this trip that they were honestly meant to be just together in that town. And like these, I mean, it's sad, but like a lot of people
In what
wait,
town? In
a lot of people
Tokyo?
know like where they're coming
In the
from
country?
in the
Yeah.
yeah, in the
country.
countryside, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, it's like there are a lot of people that don't go visit their children because they can't. And there are a lot of children that don't
He's
ever
a
go
small
home.
town physician. There's
Yeah.
really no reason for him to be in the city.
No.
She owns
They've
a
made
beauty
these.
parlor. It's not exactly
I mean, to Kevin's
the
point, you
most
can
booming
have a
business.
communal small town beauty parlor probably be the go-to place for everyone, a go-to restaurant, a go-to doctor. You know, you don't necessarily have to be in this large town because I mean they're in a suburb. They're not like actually physically in the
But there is
fast
this,
moving city. They've created that because they of the idea of getting away from a small town. That's something that
mhm.
I don't think the three of us can relate to because we've all grew up in big cities. But Kevin, I mean, left states and went to a completely different state, if I'm not mistaken, for like college, right? And you
Yep.
live on the other side of the country to your parents. It's like, Jay,
Yep.
you're 2 hours away, and I'm a 20-minute ride away from mine. So either way, so like it's different in that these are small town kids that were mostly probably told through society and their parents that you are to grow up, get good grades, and go on to do bigger and better things because that's what generationally we want for our children. We want them to
Yeah.
be better than what we are.
Yep.
That's the ultimate goal. The problem with that
And
and
then
that
that's a
sentiment,
reflection of you.
yes, it's a reflection of you, but the reflection of that is also they're going to leave you, and there's the threat. It's not a threat, but there is the ultimate thing of like the reality that they might not come back because
Yep.
once they find that thing,
Yeah.
that's where they find the person they love. That's where they
Then all of a
create their
sudden
family. That's the
they have
job.
grandkids, which are, you know,
Yeah.
they say sometimes grandparents love their grandkids more than their children.
Yeah.
But if your grandkids are 6 to 8 hours away, it's not an easy thing to just it's
The
not a hop and
connection's
a skip.
harder. Well,
It's a long way away.
the connection's
That's
harder
sort of
Especially
too.
back then.
Yeah.
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 that's sort of why I feel like I can understand where the comments are coming from, the sentiments coming from about the film being accusatory.
Mm-hmm.
It basically just reminds me of not the final conversation, but the one between the daughter-in-law and the last daughter,
Mm-hmm.
where
There's like
she
a
expre
teacher.
where she expresses how upset she is at how all the other kids
Her
re
siblings are, yeah.
her siblings reacted to this. I think the beauty of the film is the film agrees with both of them.
Yeah.
You know, it agrees with both of them in a, but that's what life is. That's what happens. And you're right to be upset at them. You're right to call them out on that kind of behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
But at
also their way
at the
of
But it's
same
also like
time,
what was she supposed to do? Abandon her mildly successful beauty parlor in exchange for what? To go into poverty?
but
You
like
know? Like
beauty
not
is
have a job?
but also like for her it's like okay, she wants a piece of clothing. She has a beauty store, vanity and things like that. That's the piece that she'll remember her parent by, you know. Having that memory of taking care of his mother literally until she dies as her physician. Like
right.
that's more than I mean, God forbid if you're a doctor, that's like even doubly probably worse than losing your parent is then being their primary care physician to the end. The one that has the deepest regret is the one son who's just young and dumb and has nothing put together. It seems like, but is also
Not in the
running,
movie very much.
not in the movie, but also kind of running away from
Hmm.
the reality of being an adult. So therefore, it makes sense that they would run away from the most tragic thing that can happen to you as an adult, which is death or losing someone to death.
I mean,
And
it goes to show, Ryan, you mentioned about
mm,
how people handle grief in different
yeah,
ways. I think the part that like because we've seen a lot of movies about grief, whether they're dramas, full-on dramas, or horror movies that are about grief, right?
yeah.
We've
Have we
seen
seen some horror movies about grief in the last decade?
No, no.
Name
we've
one.
What about wait, what about trauma?
No. Mm-mm.
No,
Mm-mm.
none of that either. All right.
Hasn't
Well,
happened.
Yeah, so we've seen a lot of movies about grief all the time. I think the one little detail about grief that always gets me every time it comes up in a movie is when the characters are put in a situation where they have to make quick logistical and practical decisions about what to do
Oh God.
afterwards, like what to do
That's
with
what
the
gets me about
stuff.
Manchester by the Sea, man. It's all about like planning the funeral and figuring out the
Yeah,
logistic. It's oh, it's
it's
so
when
tragic. But
that's the
it's
part
about
that
like
gets me.
it's about like
Yeah.
the modern world. Well, okay, so you're telling me that I'm going through the most traumatic moment of my life, and also I have to figure out the logistics of what comes next. It's
Yeah. This
ah,
is this is gonna be like this may sound really far-fetched, but like I had a um personal experience of doing that earlier this year. Granted, it's not a person, but it was one of our family cats. Earlier this year we lost one of our cats to cancer. And we as a I had to fly back because my family called me about it. And the vet told them that um, our cat's condition was bad enough that he could be put down there on the spot. And my family decided to wait like a couple days to give me time to fly back and say bye to him. And turns out he ended up lasting another 2 weeks. So it was 2 weeks of me with my family and us like trying to pamper him as much as we can for the amount of time we have left. And during that time, it was just me, my sister, my mom, and my dad occasionally sitting down in the living room and having to come up with a consensus where all four of us would
mhm.
agree on certain logistical decisions. We had to agree on things like at what point do we call it? And once we call it, what do we want to do with the remains afterwards?
Mhm.
What do we do? What kind of like cup or container? Like, is that the route we want to go in? Or, that kind of stuff.
mhm,
Those questions of, okay, when we do call it, do we take him there? Or do we ask someone to come to us? Those
Mhm.
questions. And that was my first and only time having any sort of like direct experience of having to deal with making practical logistical choices in the middle of all this. And I remember at some point having these conversations and thinking to myself, like, when it's something like a funeral, that person's gone and you have to make these decisions after. There was a point where I was having these discussions with my family, and I suddenly sort of like had this thought in my head where I go, "Our cat's still here, though. He's here, but we're talking as if he's gone,
Mhm.
you know." And it was sort of like this other side of grief that I realized, oh, that part really gets me too, which is like anticipatory grief when you're anticipating something to come.
Oh yeah. When you go, oh my God. When you go visit someone where someone is like that this will probably be the last time you ever see this person.
Yeah.
Uh, and I remember,
Yeah.
God, this one is gonna it this has essentially become a therapy session, which speaks to the power of this movie. This is a podcast about a movie.
But
Uh,
directors and auteurs and
yeah. But I'll tell you one of the most.
tangents, and
Yeah,
we've
normally
gone
we're
down the
talking
most
about like
personal.
Acon City and stuff. This is a podcast where we talked about Acon City and things of that nature. But it
Sometimes the
speaks.
tangents are real, folks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it speaks to the power of this movie. Where I will say the grandkids in this film who are not featured that much, but
No.
it certainly the idea that the oldest grandson like threw a fit and didn't go hang out with the grandmother and then he never saw her again.
Yeah.
That that was something that really struck me, and it reminded me of and it's similar to what the story that you were saying, Ryan, about Megan loves you, and that was kind of the last time that she sort of showed any sort of emotion or reaction. This is my grandmother, which would have been my son's great grandmother, but she passed away probably, well, I guess it would have been close to 3 years ago now, which is crazy. It was weeks after my son was born. So my son was less than a month old when my grandmother and his great grandmother passed away, and she was in hospice, more or less in a vegetative state. But it really, for that last month or so, it almost felt like what was keeping her alive was wanting to see her great grandson. And I remember talking to her and telling her I loved her, and saying goodbye in my own way. And there was really there was very little there. There just wasn't that much of a reaction. But then I put my 2 or 3 week old son on her chest, and that was the last response I ever saw from her. I said, Jet loves you. And she said, I love you. The last thing I ever heard her say. Really kind of one of those just legacy, circle of life, unbelievable, unforgettable moments. And this is a film that evokes that memory, which speaks to the power of the movie.
Jay, that's
And
Jay,
so
that's so crazy.
yeah,
Oh my God.
I mean, it was really like it felt almost like it was like a transcendental moment. It really felt like something
It's no different. I mean, like,
above. I mean, it's very similar. It's exactly what
no,
you're saying, Ryan.
no. I
But
mean, like, my mom told me the story of I only grew up with one grandpa because my grandfather died 2 weeks after or
Mhm.
3 weeks after I was born. He he had he had cancer.
Mhm.
He was very weak, and he couldn't really travel a lot in those last couple of weeks. But like they were saying, you have weeks and then you're going to pass. And he kept telling everyone, well, Isabel's pregnant. That's my mom. And I'm going to see that baby. And my grandfather and my mother had a very contentious relationship. She was the middle child and he didn't
Isn't
want
that
her.
crazy when a grandkid? Well,
Yeah, it really was.
I
Like
have
she,
that. I have that in my family as well.
she like
changes stuff.
he didn't want her to go to college. He refused for her to take a scholarship to Texas, and she clean. But so she did what these these kids did. She left the state and cleaned houses, paid her tuition in Boulder at Colorado so that she could get her degree. And she had a very on and off relationship with my grandfather. He was a very hard man, very hard man. He built houses, worked as a manager on a construction team, and just 8 kids and growing up on the south side of town. It's not the greatest side of town in the world. It's just a very hard man. And but they were built from the same cloth. Very just, can't get through to those people, the two of them. And they very much mirrors to one another. This man could not climb a flight of stairs. My parents' old house was a 2-story house, and she lived in the back of the house. Like that was where the main bedroom is. And without anyone's help, he got out of the car and he crawled up those stairs. And my mom was recovering in bed, much like Allie was, because my mom had a really hard pregnancy with myself. And those two sat up in that room for 3 hours. He held me and they reconciled. He goes down the stairs. A couple of days later, he's in the hospital. And then he slowly passes away.
It was like, I mean,
it's
like that's what they were living for.
It's crazy that's the amount. Like, I truly do think, Jay.
That's why I love Terrence Malick, man.
I truly think because my grandmother dies a month and a half after our marriage. Like, my grandmother dies a month and a half after Megan and I get married. She says Megan is like the last thing. I truly do believe, because we had no way to get her to the wedding. I truly think she was hanging on to make sure that I got married. It happened, and then she leaves before the holidays.
In that same way,
and
it's
you're like,
when
you're like, what? No, it's what is happening? It's
This reminds me of my own case that I shared with you guys. My grandfather held on in the hospital on life support for years. Actually, he was there. He was on it for years, and he was able to occasionally move his hand, occasionally move his eyes. He couldn't talk anymore, but he would have these responses, and he fought for a really long time. And then he goes the same night my aunt goes.
Which is
like minutes from each other, actually.
It's like Johnny Cash dying right after June Carter.
It's like Jefferson and Adams. You guys know that one? Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, they were best friends. They died on the same. No, I'm seriously. They died on literally hours apart on the same day. They wrote letters to each other the final years after Abigail Adams passed away, and they would write. And then I think there's a book about it with all their letters and correspondence.
Wow.
And they die, and it's in the miniseries as well too. And that's like the last episode is like, I forgot which one died first, but the last news the other one found out as a past president was that their friend passed, and it made it easier for them to go.
I can't decide if this has been very good or if I need a Xanax. It's one of the two.
I think it's been a great episode.
It's been a great episode. I mean, we really haven't.
I mean, we've talked about this.
Given Ozu the kind of justice for the filmmaking, because that
I think we have, because I think these stories coming out is part of his
we haven't
mastery
really
here.
Described why his filmmaking specifically brings this.
I think Kevin did. I think early on Kevin did. We talked about it. He talked about his level of patience.
It is the minimalism.
It's the minimalism, but within maximum effect. Like, I know that sounds weird, but it's just the truth. It's just like it's honestly within the way, Kevin, you described those moments of your family. And as you get older, like a movie like this doesn't work on us when we're 10, but a movie like this works on us when we're in our 30s.
Yeah.
And our pace has slowed. And go back, not to pat myself on the back, but go back to what I said earlier, which is that
great work by you.
Yeah, right? I know. I see how I'm going to come back around. Time's a circle, my friend. Is that we in our 30s become reflective. Yeah. So we use, I think, Jay, the reason why you like Malick is because you are a very reflective person. A movie like this hits you because you're reflecting.
I'm so glad I didn't watch this movie when I was 17.
Yeah, because I think you would have been like, boo, sucks, move on anyway. Yeah. Where's Edgar Wright?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
God.
Like,
adulthood.
I think, but I think it shows you that you see a movie like this, sometimes you got to live a little bit of a life and have
Yeah.
memories and have
Yeah,
moments and have things that linger past its initial time, and then it triggers it. It triggers it all, just like a
It's
collective thing that happened the day before. And
Mhm.
that's what I
it's
think this movie, that's the power of
yeah.
it. It's that it's it's not broad strokes, it's specific strokes to this family, but we then interpret our
It evokes
personality to it based off of their struggle, their grief, their
You
separation,
yeah,
it
their
evokes
anxiety,
personal
everything.
history
Yeah,
you
because
you
those are
you
unique,
said
into
it.
those
this
are universal
experience. I think
themes.
it is drawn fairly broadly,
Yeah, but it's
uh,
not. But it's not. But it's also a movie not
while still
trying.
maintaining
Yeah,
a history within itself.
yeah,
You
but
know,
it's
it
also
feels
not
very lived
trying
in.
to pull them out. It's very, like you're saying.
No, no,
It's
no. It
very
feels very natural.
natural, and that's the
Yeah.
thing too. Is like all these stories that we've said. It's natural, coincidental, human things that happen throughout it.
I honestly think like this moment, like our age, I'm talking about the three of us, I think this is like the perfect time for us to see
Yeah,
this movie where
it
we're
sat on
at
a
a
shelf for
point
five
Probably
reasons
true.
for 5 years just to get
where
to here.
We're
it's like
starting to see people die. We're
we're
starting to
starting
see
our
people
own
have kids.
we're starting
We're
our own
starting to see,
families.
yeah,
And then but then I think the other important thing is we're still at the part of our lives where there's still time for us
hmm
um to go back and maybe say something a little differently or address something that say something that you wish you could have said. I think us seeing this film now is really perfect because there's still time for us. Whatever it is, whatever it's like some maybe it's something that we're going through with our parents right now. There's still time to
you're telling
rec
me, man.
reconcile something or to the simplistic word for it is unfinished business, right? It's like it's but I think that's one of the ideas that also like really speaks to me that that time passes by quickly and fast.
Or also something can be sudden, and then all of a sudden, do you have regrets about the latter portion of your relationship with the person who all of a sudden is just gone?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you guys have any final things you want to talk about
Good
the
film.
film, or any last parting things before I guess we wrap up not only this episode but
I
this
think it's
session
good.
of therapy
Yeah, I think
that
it's
we've
good.
gone through?
Music's good.
Music's very good.
It's a gorgeous film. Again, I love the juxtaposition of the very kind of intimate interiors, and then occasionally they go out into these very broad, grandiose exteriors that exude even more loneliness than the cramped interiors. It's a very melancholy film, and I love a good melancholy film. You know what I think the scariest film of all time is, Ryan? It's connected to New York, and this
Yeah,
brought about some of that
I was gonna say
fear
it.
within me.
Yeah, it kind of did to me as well. I
There's a
really
little
need to
bit of
rewatch, by the way, Synecdoche, New York, because I haven't seen that in such a long time. But Jay, you and I have talked recently, offline, a lot about like why horror movies don't actually scare us anymore. It's movies that aren't actually horror movies that scare us more, at least in
yeah,
my opinion.
the two scariest movies of all time are Synecdoche, New York, and Blue Valentine.
There you go. Yeah.
Those are the two scariest movies ever made.
Yeah. And if you, yeah, Blue Valentine,
Exorcist,
especially.
get out of here.
Get out of here. What's The Shining? Forget about it.
Conjuring, what are you
Yeah,
doing?
what are you doing?
Blue
You know,
Valentine.
Yeah.
that's Blue.
How about and it's like forget all those. The Father.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
like it's
Yeah.
like those things. Like Jay won't agree with this because you're kind of like medium on the film, but like I was more scared by things in like the zone of interest than I was any horror film that
Well, yeah,
came
that's
out a couple
about
years
like
ago. You know what I mean?
horror.
I
Of
know, but like that's all
man.
about. But it's
I need
also
to,
what you evoke
Ryan,
in that as well.
I will give. I need to watch that movie again. I think about it often,
I know you do.
which is not
That's a
something
movie
I can
about.
say about many
But
other
also,
films.
I don't understand why you don't like that movie because that movie's all about the
It's all
form
about
and what you
form.
bring, It's also like
It's good. I'm watching it again.
you like
Watch it again.
you
5
like
stars,
loved
6 stars.
Nickel Boys, and that's playing with it. You like
Yeah,
Eyes
it's
of
doing
Teeth,
something very similar.
you know, like stuff like that. Like you
Yeah,
like stuff like that. So,
I do. That seemed
I
like
could
something I'd
I would
like.
also make the argument that this film Tokyo Story is also very scary
yeah, it
because
is.
It is
Oh
to an
yeah.
extent. It's lovely and scary.
it really touches on like deeply rooted I don't know if insecure is the right word, but like deeply rooted questions that I would have every once in a while, which is like have I been a good son?
Regret. Yeah,
Have I
potential regret.
have I been good? Have I been satisfactory in my parents' point of
Or
view?
from the opposite point of view, was I a good enough parent?
Hmm.
Which is maybe
Right.
even scarier.
And then there's also the thought of like if I were to suddenly like disappear, would I leave what would I be leaving behind? And I know this
Mm-hmm.
may be a bit of a tangent, but like
Yep.
one of
Don't
the
do it.
emotions that I felt from Tokyo Story, like it there was another film that came out a few years ago that felt very similar. And it was also a film about grief and about logistical decisions afterwards. And it was After Yang,
Yeah.
a film
Mm.
that like I saw through
Honestly, yeah.
like a Sundance link or
For the
something.
virtual portal, yeah,
The
that
the
they
virtual
did.
portal,
Yeah, I
yeah.
remember. I watched it too.
I saw
We
through
love the
virtual
virtual portal.
Sundance. And I like to say to some of the listeners out there, I think one of the benefits, I mean, of course, the best way to see a film is, of course, in a theater. I would, however, say one of the benefits of seeing a film such as After Yang on a virtual player is you get to pause the movie so you can finish crying first.
That's very fair. That's very fair.
Because I at
Or you
some point
pause it and you go, and this isn't for After Yang, but it's for other films on that platform. You pause it to go, yeah, honey, this is over in about 20 minutes. This thing sucks. Uh,
yeah.
I'm almost done with it. I'm looking at you, magazine dreams. Anyway, continue,
Yeah,
Kevin.
the cocaine bear just killed Ray Liotta. I can help you make dinner.
Yeah, let me take out the trash. Argyle is about to wrap up here. God, truly one of the worst things I've
That
ever
cat
seen.
though.
No, no, you're not going to get me on that one.
I'm kind of like
No,
Argyle is not the
I know
worst
you're
thing
like
in the world.
interesting, and I'm like, you're an idiot. You know?
Interesting but bad, but
No,
interesting.
no, God, no. No, but I agree. I agree with you, Kevin. Like, yeah. After
Yeah.
Yang deals with a lot of, you're right too, because like, and not to, this is kind of like the final mark, but like to your point, you were actually going to make literally the point I was going to make, which is like, okay, what happens if I go? What's going to happen to her in the other room? You know what I mean? What's going to happen to your fiance? What's going to happen to Jay's wife? I know what's going to happen to my wife. My wife's going to be fine because everybody likes her more than me, and also too like I think she would miss me. I'd miss her. That's the thing. I don't know what I do without her.
Well, that's the
That's
thing that
that's the that's the
me and
thing.
my wife have sort of a running quasi joke about you better die before me.
Yeah,
Like,
Oh, we've
yeah.
joked about
We
that
do
too.
that. We've done
yeah.
that. But then I don't know. I think
Him sitting there fanning himself at the end of the film.
I'm like, no, she's
No.
no. Maybe
But
I
then
should go first. You know what I
but
mean? Like,
but then that's sort of like the other thing that I think is so special about this film. And I also find it every once in a while in other Japanese films, which is, these films talk about legacy and they talk about memory a lot. But the other really interesting thing is they talk about memory through the lens of forgetting something.
yeah,
Right. So Jay brought it up earlier, saying the line near the end where the grandfather is like encouraging the daughter-in-law, you should try to forget my son. It also reminded me of like, oh, this other movie also kind of did something like that, which was The Boy and the Heron. Near the
Oh,
end of that
what a
movie,
great
when the
film.
when the kid returns back to the real human world, and there's that uh goodbye scene where he says goodbye to the heron bids him farewell, and the heron also says something similar. He tells him like it's better if you forget about this whole experience and you go like live your life
and then
and
he says
don't.
goodbye to the room
Yeah.
too at the end.
I'll tell you though,
God
Yeah.
damn, that movie's good.
Today-
Well,
So good.
today,
Miyazaki.
instead of fanning myself, I would be putting on a movie, which is a benefit of the modern era.
yeah,
I would be watching Captain America,
Brave New World.
Brave New World. Yeah.
You're not gonna watch that.
That would
fucking
be
movie.
that would be the final scene of today's Tokyo Story. That would be the end of Atlanta Story.
At
Is
least
me popping on
J Story.
Captain America, Brave New World.
Yeah, I know.
And that would actually be sadder than him sitting alone fanning himself.
You know,
That would be more tragic.
I want to just give you guys a little insight into my life. So my wife leaves for work every day, and I work from here at the house. You know, remote work, and I can tell you, like, there are days where it's too quiet. The dog's not moving around because the dog's just sleeping, the cat's sleeping, and I've got to work, and I've turned
Pulling an
everything off.
Argyle,
Yeah, wait, yeah, I'm just pulling an Argyle.
sitting in the backpack.
And I'm just like, and it's too quiet. And I'm like, you know what? I kind of need her to get home because I don't have a movie playing, or I don't have the radio on, or I don't have somebody on sports talk yelling about why this person should get drafted here in the fucking draft, or how you should pay this contract, or whatever. I just
Red
Need
Hulk's
it-
not around.
exactly. I don't got some YouTube.
You've already gotten to Red
podcast
Hulk.
on. And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, okay, I actually really need her to get home soon
It
because
messes with you, doesn't
it
it?
gets a little anxiety. So imagine,
It messes
then-
with you. I don't know about
imagine
you,
like
Ryan,
my
but
grandparent, like without the person they're doing their
I have
everyday
a-
thing
I
for
have a
like
hard time
10 years
sleeping.
after.
If I'm by myself in the bed.
I don't know about you guys,
Yeah,
but
I'm the
when
same, Jay.
I'm like when I'm at home alone and my fiance's out at work and I'm sitting here
Hmm.
and working, there are times where it messes with my like self-esteem. It messes with my mind and like, am I being productive? Am
Yeah.
I being valuable?
Sometimes I have it with
Mm.
sometimes to back to your point earlier, Kevin, about your family cat. I have that with my dog sometimes. We're literally leaving on a trip because she's part of my routine, like wake up, take her out, do all the stuff, whatever.
Mhm.
We were going on a trip, took her over to, I think my in-laws, dropped her off, but we were leaving the next day. So I had a full day of work and then we were going. And I just had that muscle reflex of like, I got to put her out. I haven't fed her. I haven't done this. And I realized, oh wait, she's not here. And it's just like that weird feeling of missing a piece of you
Oh,
from your daily
God.
thing. So
Oh,
imagine that
God.
being the person, to your point, Jay, you go to bed with every night. Like when she was on a work trip a couple weeks ago, it was terrible first night of sleep for me. Second night of sleep, much better. So can finally figure out the middle. But when you lay on one side
Oh, my
for
God.
day after day, year after year, it's always like Eric and Sophia and others that have been on film festival trips will know. The first night's always the worst night for me because I got to adjust to the bed because that
I
that
don't
other
have a
constant's
problem
not
with it
there.
when I'm out of town.
No? Out of town, I still do.
But if I'm at home and
It's
she-
always the first night. Like I've
Yeah.
tried
It messes with
everything.
me too. the first
I
night.
can't get over it. Even if I'm like staying at another person's house that I know or
got a
whatever.
bachelor party next week. Hopefully that won't be a problem.
Jay, I'm going to tell you this first night I'm at your house, it's going to be struggle station for me.
Right, you're sleeping in the basement.
Well, then I can just put a movie on, much like what you said.
there's like a
Ozu
saying-
is a master.
Yes.
Yes.
One of the greats. This is true. Like
Was this your idea or my idea for this series? Was this mutual?
this might have been mutual. I think I brought it up first.
But then I solidified it?
Yeah, you were like, great idea.
Great idea. Okay.
Because we love Discovery. Every now
Well,
and then,
I mean, we're always
we'll
saying
do-
back and forth
We'll do
who
Verhoeven, and I'm like,
that was you.
I love Verhoeven. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen all of these except Black Book, which ended up being one of my favorites of his.
Oh, Jay, I remember another one that was my idea on the old show was the Wachowskis.
Mm-hmm.
That was one on me that I
Yeah,
suggested.
I mean, I had seen maybe all of those. No, not all of them. I hadn't seen Cloud Atlas.
Well, you hadn't seen the Matrix sequels.
And I had I not?
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't know.
But
I'd
that's
seen
like
Speed
so-
Racer, and I didn't like it, and now Speed
Yeah,
Racer is one of my
get you-
favorites. I'm going to see that on 35 soon. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
I know. You're welcome.
Yeah, but
He's a master. We're doing a good job.
He's a
Not to
master.
pat ourselves on the back midway through a series.
I
but
am like, fourth on the Sight and Sound list. Great job. You know,
Should it be
Like, I'm
higher?
not-
Maybe
not
at
mad
the end of
about
this
it.
conversation. You know,
Yeah.
those other three films, if we ever cover them, man, you better evoke those same memories.
What are the other three again?
Well,
The
just,
three ahead of it are Jean Dielman, Citizen Kane, and
Vertigo.
Vertigo. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
I mean, those are pretty
I
good.
would.
it's a pretty good movies, though.
They are pretty good.
But they're not going to invoke the same kind of discussions we had today. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Talk
think
about
I would
Citizen Kane. I'm not going to be
still-
like, I once had a slit.
I don't know. Citizen Kane rocks.
Yeah, that movie does roll.
But
You know, I think though everybody. Can I say that this is one of the last things, and then we can get to start getting out of here. Is everybody went through at least 1 year of their life when they were young, when they fought against the idea that Citizen Kane was a great movie, and then they sat down and they watched it. Maybe not you, Kevin, but everybody mostly did that. And then you know what? And then you rewatch it, and you're like, "What a fucking fool I am!"
no, what I
You know what
I
mean?
had was
like, is it
what
the
I had-
number one movie of all time? No. And then you watch it, and you're like, yeah, actually, kind of.
My
No,
version of
Nah.
my version of that was Spielberg. Really, he's kind of like a
Oh,
popcorn.
so
He's like
everybody's
he's
everybody
like a
has one of
popcorn
those.
hack.
Oh, and then you
And now
watch
I'm
it
like Spielberg. Who's better?
yeah.
Name somebody better.
Kevin, did you ever have that where like there's like a classic take, and then you're like, oh, I'm wrong? Did you ever have one of those, or you just
Maybe I
No,
was
Kevin's
more,
never been
I
wrong.
was more of the opposite. Honestly, I was more of the opposite. I was always curious as to what was recognized as like the best film of all time by critics.
Mhm.
What was rated 100% on Rotten Tomatoes or something like that. And I'm usually the opposite. I would go into the movie, I watch it, and I come out going,
Oh,
like, yeah, makes sense.
I get it.
Right.
oh,
I
okay.
I had that issue so much that I did that even with like Best Picture winners,
Oh,
like
okay.
like with Oscars. Like
Like
Oh, you're
Coda-
kind of like
Coda masterpiece.
you were kind of like throwing it off. You're like, oh yeah, I get it, but it's not what I would personally rank high up there. Or you
No,
you
no,
get
the
it in
opposite.
terms of
He
like,
was like
No, no.
oh, Coda is the best film of the year.
exactly. Like when I was young, I had
God
that
damn it,
problem.
you and Coda.
When I was young, I had that problem. Like when like I vividly remember back in like 2010 when for a period of time I actually said The King's Speech was better than The Social Network.
Man, and now you're like,
No.
you're a fool. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to get
And
at
now,
here. You're
and
like,
now you're like,
you had a
still better.
take that doesn't make any sense, and then after your rewatch,
Right.
you're like, boy,
But his was,
you know,
but his was
It's-
on like
it's
the
like-
his was on the positive. He was
yeah,
like,
his
Yeah.
was on the positive,
Yeah, yeah, I like damn, yeah.
which is actually
the best movie of
crazier than ours. I
The
would
best
say.
movie of 2008 was Slumdog Millionaire.
Oh man. And then you're like, whew.
I still got to see 28 years.
You still haven't seen that?
Mm-mm.
Dude, I thought you
I also got to see it.
I got to check it out.
it's good. It's not great.
I've heard the ending is normal.
It's normie, all right. That's for sure. No, it's actually a pretty interesting ending. A movie that's
Because
like,
it's so normal.
yeah. There's some stuff in there that kind of, you know, I wouldn't say evokes from this, but that's a very emotional movie that kind of sneaks
It's
up
the
on you.
Tokyo story of zombie movies.
Exactly. Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay.
There you go. Jay.
All right.
Jay.
Man, I'm exhausted.
I know, but before we get out of here, buddy, we're going to test your award season knowledge based on the film we just reviewed, Tokyo Story. And it's a segment we like to call It's an Honor to Get Nominated. Now, we've gone through this twice.
Ozu's a weird one
Come up empty.
with this exercise.
What do you think, buddy? You think this got nominated for anything?
I think the years are just screwed up. I don't think
Yeah,
so.
the years are screwed up indeed because it didn't get nominated for anything. Even in 72 when it got released in America. But on this game, we're
20 years later,
20 years.
19 years later,
yeah,
it
72.
finally made its way to America.
Yeah. But we're talking about it in the year of 1953 when it was released in its
Yeah, that's
country
what we're
of
going to do. We're
origin.
going to break the rules.
And so this would be this would be I'm sorry, 1953, right? Did I say 53?
1953 is when it was released. So
Yes,
it would be the
so the Oscars are-
1954 Oscars.
This was the year From Here to Eternity, a pretty mediocre
Okay.
movie, won Best Picture. Julius Caesar, The Robe, Roman Holiday, and Shane were the other nominees. They can all go away.
They can all
This
go
is-
away. And
this
make
is
way
better
for
than
Tokyo
that.
Story.
Fred Zimmerman,
Zinneman,
get your ass out of there.
more like
This-
Fred
this-
Cinnamon. I'm going to do the Zinneman challenge and spit him out.
Oh my God. Did you ever do that?
I did do the cinnamon challenge.
You're dumb. I would never do that one. I did the ice bucket one though.
I almost died. I did the ice bucket challenge.
Who
Of
did
course.
who did if you did an ice bucket challenge today, who were the 5 people that you would do?
I thought
Can
you
I guess for
nominated
you?
one. I thought you nominated just
No,
one.
I thought you nominated like 3 or 5. Like
I don't know.
like
I was gonna say like 3.
okay, so like Caviezel,
David Lynch, Cormac
um,
McCarthy, and Hulk Hogan.
okay.
We're all
Wait,
doing great, right?
there, Jay. Again, Cormac
No, did I
McCarthy's
do it
still
again?
dead,
Ugh.
and the other 2 are also deceased as well.
All right.
Did you not
Charlie
know that
Kirk.
Did you not know that about the Hulkster? Oh, all right. You're gonna go into your other Charlie Kirk. Who else? Just him.
There's this one guy who seems to be like very popular now on conservative media. What is his name?
What? Which one?
He's I don't know. Benny Johnson.
Is that what his name is? I gotta look this some bitch up. Thank you for this. You would know him. You work with
He's
him
like
every day.
An absolute psychopath. He
Uh,
lives with me in my house.
I have
Benny
a,
Johnson,
never-
American commentator and YouTuber. So him and then the one and only
Alex Jones.
Sure, Alex Jones.
I can't wait for Josh Parham to listen to this episode and be actually those are definitely people Jay's had over for dinner at the house.
Yeah, for sure.
Kevin, who would you
Charlie
do an
Kirk's
ice
going to be
bucket-
the next. He's going to be on the
what?
other episode.
Oh, for God's sake. Anyway, he's going to be on an autumn afternoon.
Oh, that'd be good.
That would be wild. Kevin, if you had to do an ice
Yes.
bucket challenge, who would you challenge?
Who would I challenge?
Yeah, 3 people, anybody you want. Obviously living.
I don't know. I mean,
Do it. Come on.
This might be the stupidest thing we've ever done on the podcast.
Yeah, I know, but that's why
And
this
that's
is
saying
important.
something.
I know.
It's been a very serious episode so far, so we need a little levity.
Yeah.
Yasujirō Ozu.
It can be anybody. Just throw them out there. 3 names.
Adam Sandler.
You're not having dinner with them. They're just going to put ice water on their head
ice water
from
on
a
their
bucket.
head.
For charity.
For charity.
Even though no money
It's going to
Yeah,
probably go
to
okay.
charity. They're just going to pour ice on their head.
Yeah.
Okay, fucking Elon Musk.
Okay.
And
Oh, cool. Yeah.
and
Great.
Oh, he's going like the bad people route.
He wants them to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You want to pour ice on themselves.
Okay. So Elon Musk,
Uh-huh.
RFK Jr.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. He'd probably he's probably a big cold plunge guy.
Yeah, but he also could be like one of those guys that doesn't have the vaccines and cold water on his skin activates like his reptilian form.
and-
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. He'll go Red Hulk.
Yeah,
and-
exactly.
And then Andrew Cuomo.
Oh.
Mm,
All right.
very
Kevin,
cool.
Kevin's voting for McDonnie. There you go.
Mhm.
I would do well, I would do Mitch McConnell because
Okay, cool.
turtles usually shrink.
You want him to freeze literally?
I think he's close to death, and I think the ice bucket would
Okay.
put him over the top. He looks like Gary Oldman in Hannibal.
All right,
Right
delete
now.
this episode.
I would do oh God. Who else, Jay? Who's another person?
I just don't know if this was I don't know if
This
juice
is really
worth
worth
the
it.
squeeze here.
It's worth it. We got to get all the way to the end. I got to get 2 more people here. I would do Scott Jennings, who's the Republican sort of CNN
I thought you
commentator.
were gonna
Who's
say
in
Scott
the,
Eastwood.
oh, you know what? Scott Eastwood's a good one.
Scott
Clint.
Jennings and
You know
Scott
what? I'll do
Eastwood.
Clint. I think he can survive.
Do not freeze Clint. He's got 3 or 4 good movies in him.
He's okay. How about this? I did Mitch McConnell, Clint Eastwood's chair that he talked to at the Republican convention.
that's fine.
How's that? Is that fair? And then he has to sit on it. That's it's a wet chair.
No.
You know?
After. Okay,
Yeah,
that's fine.
afterwards.
Okay,
yes.
that's fine.
Wet chair, you know.
Might give him a little boost to go make another film.
Yeah, and then you know, somebody on Twitter, any one of the people that act fucking annoying on Twitter
Eric
that I
Weber.
see, Eric Weber, you know,
the Insnider.
the Insnider. Oh well, no, I think he would like it too much because he's got like that mankini situation that you showed me the other day. So, probably one of them. You know,
Okay,
both if not
together,
or just Eric.
Eric, that's a good call.
He'd have to have like a 6 hour.
Somebody's got to choose Eric.
Well, we just talked about a lot of horrible people, so it's only right that we included him in there as well.
You know what, Eric? If you're listening, I don't want you to pour ice water on yourself.
You know how long it would take at that hair appointment for him to get that all fixed? Yeah, that's not fair to him. That's a 6 hour hair appointment, and his usual hair appointments are 5.5 hours. Anyway, Kevin.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Ryan, where do you get your haircut?
I get it cut it at like a salon about 10 minutes away from the house.
You get like the shampoo?
I do get a shampoo before. I have
shampoo.
My barber cuts. She's a very nice lady. Her name's Odelia. She cuts my hair with clippers and also a straight razor.
Ooh, a straight razor.
It's
you're going. There will be blood on it.
I don't ask her to do it. That's just her technique, and it's kind of awesome. Wow. And my haircuts are...
It's like that threat, that slight threat of death.
Jay, would you like to know? I've had 2 people cut my hair in my entire life.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's it.
Same. Like,
I used to go Great Clips.
Well, that makes sense.
I've changed.
Sorry.
That
wasn't trying to be a shot, but...
Look, if there's one... I've got 2 things going for me. I've got hair and I've got eyes. If nothing else, I've got that. I've got.
You got your sparkling personality.
Well, I don't know about that, but
that's fair.
Yeah, I moved from Great Clips to the same salon that my wife goes to because she was like, the thing about Great Clips is you can get a good cut there, but you're playing Russian roulette.
Yeah, because it's not the same person.
The consistency is not there. So
I
go see Sarah. She's great.
Yeah.
I
had someone, her name was Denise. She cut my hair from the time I was 6 months old all the way until COVID. And then she had to retire because of COVID. And then I've been with Odelia the last 5 years, and she's awesome. She's a very nice lady. But she might be close to retiring soon. I might have to find a third person. And I'm terrified of that because I don't like, you know what? Cutting your hair is a very personal thing.
It's very intimate.
And it's yes, it is. And also, you got to make sure that the person you're doing it is sane and can maybe carry a conversation.
Well,
it's like a bar.
If they're using a straight razor.
Yeah, exactly. And they also gotta carry. I think somebody cuts your hair has got to carry a good conversation. I'm gonna throw that out there.
Yes, my.
They got to be well versed in a lot of things.
Sarah knows to talk to me about movies.
There you go.
TV shows.
Exactly.
And then we talk about our children.
Yeah, and then
it's great.
Yeah. There you go.
Kevin, where are you getting your haircut?
Yeah, where are you getting your haircut these days?
I usually what I end up doing is I don't go anywhere here and I wait until I go back and visit my family.
So you're just letting it let it get long.
I just let it get long until it's time for me to go visit my family again, and I just get a cut at the same place that I've been getting it for my whole life, and from the same person too, this lovely woman named Nancy, who speaks both English and Mandarin with me.
Oh, we love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and she would ask me about like my education, my engagement, how's my parents doing, how's my sister doing.
It's all cool. We got these wonderful ladies cutting our hairs. That's wonderful.
That's great. What would you nominate this movie for?
Like everything.
Motion picture, directing,
actor, supporting actress, multiple places.
Yeah,
I think we didn't talk enough about how the grandmother in this movie is incredible.
She's unbelievable. Writing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, for a movie that does not feel scripted, that's actually a praise for the screenplay.
Yeah. Agreed.
Cinematography. In the black and white section. Editing.
Editing. The
Editing,
editing is so organic.
absolutely.
Production design.
Sure. Not showy, but incredibly effective.
Score.
Score.
Yeah, again, not showy, but
But
incredibly
effective.
effective. I don't,
Costumes.
give it everything. Give it documentary. Why not?
Jay, give it Stooms.
I mean, honestly, no. But
You wouldn't give it Stooms?
What's
no.
Stooms?
Oh, we on this show we call costumes Stooms.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the best costume design
Did
went
you
to
did you not think we were going to come up with some stupid way to talk about that?
for color costume design. It went to The Robe. That seems unfair.
Well,
It's a
because
movie about a robe.
it's
How does it not win?
that's maybe the funniest thing you've ever gotten mad at on this show easily. It's called The Robe. Oh my God. Kevin, can you tell everybody where they can find you and all your work on the internet? As well as
sure.
also give our listeners a recommendation of the week. Doesn't have to be something new. It can be something that you want people out there to check out and see that you've been vibing with recently, my good friend. And so, yeah, recommendation, your socials and all that stuff.
Okay. All right. Well, to start, my social is I'm still on Twitter at KLEE underscore
I like
film
how you
review.
had to say it like I'm still on Twitter.
Mhm.
Like that you fought were fighting the fight to
Excuse
stay
me,
on
it's
there.
called X.
Shut up, Jay. We're gonna keep calling it Twitter until we have to not say that anymore. Anyway, continue, Kevin. Sorry.
Yes, I am still on Twitter. You can find my reviews on AwardsWatch, Film Inquiry, and That Shelf. Stay tuned because I'm going to be covering for AwardsWatch real soon for TIFF. That's coming up. Um, Something that I've seen recently. So my fiance and I have this habit where we would make dinner, and we actually, because we live in a studio apartment, we don't actually have a dining table. And so we would eat at my desk because my computer desk is like one of those big L-shaped tables. So it's big enough for us to put food on it, and we tend to eat while watching something on my screen. Recently, she and I went to see the new Jurassic World, and so we were both in the dinosaur sort of
Masterpiece.
mood, right? And so we both together we discovered Prehistoric Planet, which is the BBC documentary series narrated by Richard Attenborough, best
Oh,
known for those documentaries of Planet Earth and Blue Planet
Or
and
for
all that.
being the
Yep.
creator of Jurassic Park.
Oh, sorry. No, not Richard Attenborough. David Attenborough.
Oh,
His
David,
his
not
brother.
Richard. Okay, okay, okay,
His
okay.
brother, his brother. Yeah. And so I that would be my choice because recently Christine and I just finished it. We just finished the second season of Prehistoric Planet right when they just announced that they're going to do a third one that's specifically about Ice Age mammals. So we're both excited for that. If you're look if you're into dinosaur related stuff, but you want to see them portrayed realistically, like actually like as animals, because that's what they were when they were on this earth millions and millions of years ago. I think Prehistoric Planet is stunning and gorgeous and hilarious at times. Um, very, very beautiful experience. Probably one of the best pieces of dinosaur media we've ever had.
awesome. Jay?
Okay. Yeah, I haven't been exactly on a movie heater recently, except for Ozu. So, I would maybe give a very soft recommendation for Companion, a movie I thought was like pretty decent.
Okay.
But as far as a very big recommendation, I'm going music. I've been listening to Weezer Blue Album. No skips, banger, incredible album. Like 6 or 7 all-time banger rock songs.
It's part of that question I've been asking you lately. What is like the songs that define our generation? And
I
that
would
that album's like right up there.
I mean, it is. And honestly, probably the biggest hit on that album was Buddy Holly. And that's probably like my 8th favorite song on that album.
Isn't that great when like the big hit on an album is like honestly becomes your like least favorite? Like when you,
But
when
that
I,
happens all the time, though.
yeah,
Yeah.
like when I listen to like Elton John's "Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player," like Crocodile Rock's the worst song on that fucking album.
Oh, come on.
Every other
Crocodile
song's
Rock's good.
no, Crocodile Rock's terrible.
Nah, Crocodile Rock's good.
It's so bad Elton John hates it, but he has to play
Oh,
it.
it's good.
I agree, it's fucking terrible,
What if there was a crocodile that rocked?
and it sucked.
No, that's good.
No,
Blue
it's not.
Album, great.
Blue Album, great though. I agree.
I like,
Totally
there's a
agree with you.
there's a debate over there.
I'm
It
a
is
Blue Album
crazy
guy.
how far they fell off.
Yeah.
But it's Blue Album or Pinkerton, and I'm Blue Album.
I'm Blue Album as well. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, Blue Sky at Ryan McQuade 77. You can find out my work here at awardswatch.com. If you like podcasts, we do the main show on Mondays. 5 stars on iTunes, Spotify. Greatly appreciated. Sign up for the newsletter. That's the best place to get all news, reviews, interviews, podcasts, all this other crap sent to you when in place. I got 2 recommendations as well, since Jay's going to do 2.
I gave a soft, like barely recommendation, and then a real one.
Well, can I give a recommendation that's all encompassing?
Fine.
Okay, thank you. It's technically half my show. I can do what I want. Right? I guess. I don't know. So I've been reading
Unless
this
I
book.
get really pissed off.
So I've been reading this book. Hadn't read it since high school, middle school, somewhere around there. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, because I'm getting
Oh yeah,
in the mood
that's
for.
based on the Guillermo del Toro film.
Yeah, that's coming out.
It's the novelization of
It's the
Guillermo del Toro
novelization,
film.
like a couple hundred, like just a couple years apart. I saw those first. I've been wanting to reread it to get ready for Del Toro's adaptation, and then I saw a couple of those first stills for it, and I was like, "Oh, this guy is going straight novel adaptation. Awesome!"
going
I've been
book.
reading with purpose. Then at this point, and then I also was like, I kind of might write about Del Toro in a ranking piece or something like that for the website. So I put on those first 2 Hellboy films.
Oh my God, they're so good.
From him, and man, we're in this influx right now with
Dude.
comic book movie, and like what a comic book, how good comic book movies are supposed to be, and like the state of them. But like, this is one of those.
I mean, they're no Fantastic Four, but
Wait, what?
new First Steps. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Did you've even seen that movie
No.
to make that joke? Thank you very much. It's actually not bad. But point being is like the Hellboy movies under Del
Fantastic
Toro are really good movies. And those are the type of movies that like honestly feel so out of place.
They
Like
kind of
it-
transcend the genre.
yeah, they're like, what if we gave a really good, competent, not even competent, just like a really great auteur director the chance to create his own wacky universe with these characters that not many people know.
Practical makeup.
They're very,
Yeah.
they're
It
very
feels
much.
of another era.
I kind of think that these, after rewatching, I was like, I kind of think these things walked so Guardians could run in a lot of ways. The sort of tone of it being Saturday, more like a little bit more elevated Saturday morning cartoon, the sort of, out of the box kind of characters.
Unabashedly weird.
Yeah, unabashedly weird, very funny. Just watching even James Gunn's Superman movie, there was a little bit of that evoked in there as well. But they also have his signature style and sentimentality, especially the second one, The Golden Army.
The Golden Army is so peak.
It's such a good movie. His Blade movie is fantastic as well. He really understands the just how, I mean, he knows grand scale, but he really
He loves
understands
genre.
how to make genre
All that
just
stuff.
peak. And so yeah, I've been doing the rewatches of Del Toro already, and they're just really fun movies. That's the other thing. They're just fun. And the sin of I
Is Del
guess
Toro one of your guys?
I don't think he's one of my guys.
He's
I just
not one of my guys.
I think that he's one of the guys, though, that if he's making something, we need to pay attention because
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
him
totally agree.
as a figure
he's a champion of cinema. Yeah.
movie culture.
Yeah, and he's a very nice man. I've gotten to
He
meet him a
seems
couple of
very
times.
nice.
Very nice guy. it's hard not to root for him.
He's a
That's
big
the
little
thing.
teddy bear.
Yeah, exactly. He's just a nice man.
And to be clear, Frankenstein is the name of the doctor, not the monster.
Exactly correct. But the only sin about his Hellboy 2 movie is that when we didn't get the third, because it was released like literally in and around the same time as The Dark Knight and got swallowed up in that tsunami that is that movie. But it is very fun. And I'm not saying it's on the level of Dark Knight, but it is kind of great counter programming to that very serious, otherworldly blockbusters superhero film, that this very playful thing, very
Hellboy's got a
inventive,
lot
very
of
personal.
lore.
Yeah, no, for sure. But
I have a
it's
question for you, Ryan.
yeah,
You talked about how you're really, really excited for Del Toro's Frankenstein.
I am. I'm very much so.
Frankenstein.
What did you think of Kenneth Branagh's Frankenstein?
That's a very weird fucking movie. I think De Niro's going for things.
That's the De Niro one? That's
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
sexy
the De Niro.
Frankenstein? Yeah.
The De
Yeah.
Niro one, yeah.
I think it's
I've never seen that
good.
movie.
I don't think it's fine. Like, I don't go back to it a lot. I go back to obviously the original, and
Frankenstein.
yeah, you go back to I Frankenstein with Eckhart a lot. But no, I honestly think that, is it weird to say that outside of the original, the Frankenstein adaptation I go to the most is actually Young Frankenstein?
Oh yeah.
Is that
Well,
weird to say?
That's the best
No,
Mel
not-
Brooks movie.
Yeah,
that's
it's-
one.
Hey, wait, do you think that's Mel Brooks' best movie?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Blazing Saddles, but it's pretty
High,
close.
High Anxiety.
That's
His
good.
masterpiece. I've never seen that one, actually.
Now you're Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Meh.
Yeah, Spaceballs.
Just like-
He's got some good movies.
You know,
He has good movies, and also there's some stuff where I'm like, it really hasn't. Spaceballs, not very good.
Producers is great. I will say.
Producers
Christina and I
rules.
recently rewatched Spaceballs because I told her about the announcement that Spaceballs 2 is happening.
Mhm.
So we rewatched.
Does it
the
play
first.
better? Does it still hold up?
I think there are some gags in the movie that are still really funny, but I think like pacing and structure wise is kind of all over the place.
Yeah,
It's thankfully held afloat by some gags still being really, really funny.
that's good.
Like Combing the Desert is still hilarious.
Combing the Desert is great.
That's so goddamn good. But Del Toro stuff, go start watching that. Start getting in the mood. We got like Del Toro, we got Bigelow, we've got Baumbach, we've got PTA.
What's your
we've
favorite
got-
Del Toro?
Well,
Pan's Labyrinth.
it's a dumb, stupid
I think it's
answer, but
Pan's.
it's Pan's Labyrinth.
It's Pan's Labyrinth. Actually, well, the thing is though, is that it reveals a lot of your personality based on your favorite Del Toro movie, because I think there's actually a camp of people of you think his best movie is Crimson Peak or something else.
Mm.
I think you guys want my crazy opinion? I think like Pinocchio's his third best, and I think his second best is actually Blade 2. I think Blade 2 fucking
Ooh,
rules.
that's a take.
That's
It's good.
Blade 2 is a top tier, top 10 comic book movie of all time. And
I need to rewatch Blade 2 again to
when
see
you
if
watch Blade 1, which is a good movie, and then you watch Blade 2, you're like, holy shit, the elevation of this it's like when you watch those first two Harry Potter movies and you're like, okay, this is fine stuff, and then Alfonso Cuarón comes in and it's like, oh shit, this is a fucking movie now. Like we can do things with this, with the camera and stuff.
Here's
So
a
it's really
pitch.
fun. Yeah.
I've got a pitch.
All right.
Peter Pan's Labyrinth.
All right. Thank you all for God damn it, listening to this episode. On that note, we will be back next week for what are we doing next week, Jay? Oh yes, Tokyo Twilight. We will be continuing our Ozu series with that. I'm super excited about that episode. See how personal we get in that one. Thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you all next time.